I'll just sit back.
capturing everything that we're talking about here. I don't know what.
Actually,
Wait,
yeah,
it's actually
that's a
working?
good point too. If that's a kitty laptop and that's a man's laptop, what's that?
That is
That's a
a
TV.
master's.
That's a TV.
This is a
That's what
master's
Steve
tool.
uses. So.
There it is. Notes.
Yeah, so that was the notes, and then I put it all together in a spreadsheet. So if you open that spreadsheet there,
Oh, nice.
What menu is that?
Hit the download cloud thingy. I don't know if
Let's
it'll.
see if it might.
That's
A
not
lot of
read.
times it'll
That's different stuff that's
automatically do
written
it.
in
but-
No, they have
Yeah, it's
it
not
in
supported. This thing
practice.
sucks.
We do that.
Do you have one, by the way?
I don't think
The
so. I was
TV?
reading some of the stuff on there.
Better.
I think
Couldn't
there's
read by
something
someone.
on there.
I was just asking. I just wanted to make sure.
I think somebody
It's
else.
a Dodge
I think
truck.
somebody else made brackets. Because I was looking at the words and I didn't know those words.
You just couldn't
It was
read
his
it.
name as well.
Oh, that might be.
I'm glad I wasn't late.
You weren't. Even I was late, and
Oh.
these two guys were here, so I'll give them street cred here for like mastering the rest of us. Is that $4,000? Yeah, I can't. Over here. Yeah, you could. It depends, and so we'll put this on the agenda, so let's figure out what's on the agenda overall. And then we'll decide where it goes. Yeah, that's weird. An old thing. Alright, who's gonna pray?
Landon. Go
Let
ahead.
me do it last time. You got works.
I did it last time, thank you very much.
I'll pray.
Not that you keep the score.
Yeah.
Alright,
Lord, we thank you for this morning. Thank you for this time, God. We ask for unity and wisdom. Pray for a blessing over everyone that's here and all the things and the activities, Lord, that will take place today, God. And we just pray for your mercies. We pray for peace over the Woods and their family, God, as we go through their service this afternoon. And Lord, we just thank you for everything that you've done, and we praise you. It's in your name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
so give me the agenda stuff. What's on the agenda
We're
today?
talking about Easter.
Yeah.
Easter?
Good Friday maybe as well.
That's the whole thing though, right?
Yeah. Well, 2 different days, but.
Am I
Yeah,
late
it's
or
a
wait?
whole-
I
it's a
can
whole
do that.
package.
You are all good.
Easter package.
I also don't understand what's on there.
Yeah, well, I'm like looking up here, I'm like, somebody's writing a song.
Yeah.
Red.
Yeah, we get
Oh,
rid of
right
that.
away.
Well,
Erase
did you get a picture? The,
Yeah, you guys can erase that. We got that written down.
Jeez, dude.
What else?
Probably would be good just for us to do just a quick review over our meeting of Monday for the sanctuary
Oh,
look and feel.
Good.
And I don't know if the children's team has anything
Yeah.
that you guys have met about. Some of the kids.
Yeah, we kinda left it, in Pastor Stephen Taylor's hands to talk to a candidate that we had in mind. You know, even if it's just a short term, hey, help us pull things together kind of situation.
So these guys don't know any of the other stuff, so.
John does, but
Dude,
nobody
Yeah,
else does.
She talked to me, but I just didn't know if there was other stuff in general to report. I mean, if not, it
No,
doesn't have to
Okay.
be an action item.
So what else? Anything else on the agenda?
We talked, I think, last week about always taking a little bit of time to review the Sunday morning
Yeah.
service flow,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you wanna start? We'll evolve from there. You wanna just do the sanctuary thing?
Sure.
That'd be cool. I'd love to understand it.
change chairs.
I guess if you can just go to that picture first since it won't open the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet is basically just everything that's on the picture, just in more of an organized thing. But
Got it.
Yeah, we did put that in.
Yeah.
It's big, very big. That's as big as you can get it.
Were you not even here? I was here. I just thought I read different words when I looked at the picture last time. But you was right.
So, myself, Logan, Sam, Landon, Dustin, Nell, Caleb. I think that was everybody, right?
Caleb.
We all met on Monday for the Sanctuary Look and Feel initiative. And what we did was we just made a full list of everything that we feel like we would want to purchase / do. And this specific meeting was focused more on things that we're gonna need to actually have money put to it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this stuff is just straight purchases, others is a purchase, and then we'd have to do some sort of a labor to build something or do something like that. But then there's another piece that this coming Monday that we wanna meet, that we're gonna talk about, that Dustin brought up, of as far as items that we also need to focus on from an administrative perspective. What are some policies and things we need to do? What are some kind of, I guess, heart issues? I think he kind of used that term, you know, people's heart as they're serving, and
Yeah.
things as we bring new volunteers in, you know, values and stuff like that that we want to impart in them when they come in, of the importance of what they're doing versus it just being just sort of,
Yeah.
you know,
Just
a
hanging
whatever
out.
kind of a thing. So that's what we're going to focus on this coming Monday. We're going to do a quick review over where we are on this, but then we're going to focus more of our time on that side of it,
Yep.
and then sort of be taking both tracks as we go forward.
Mm-hmm.
But on this, what we did was we made a first, as best of a complete list as we can, and then we put some basic total dollar amounts next to each item. These are rough guesstimates. You know, there's a lot of stuff that we still would have to go in, especially like the electric at the top. We put 20K, but you know, that's a general guess.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll have to get quotes and to get more of a solid number on it. But then once we did that, then we broke it into a semi-priority. So
Got
we
it.
broke it into an A list and a B list.
Yep.
The A list, there are things that we want to really focus on first, and then if we're able to get through the A list, then we would transition and start looking at the B list stuff. So the B list is kind of on the back burner for right now.
Okay.
And then on the A list, we broke the A list the same way and broke it into an A1 list and an A2 list. So the A1 list are the absolute, these are the things we 100% want to try at all costs get done this year, if
Yeah.
we can.
We talked
This
about
year.
we talked about specifically trying to get. I'm pretty sure A1 was stuff we were trying to get done before Easter.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
Some of
there,
it.
and you can see I've got, and I put the
Got
little ticks next to the stuff that we wanted to do if we can by Easter.
Uh-huh.
And then once we would get through that, then we would switch over to the A2 stuff. And most of the stuff that we're saying that we wanted to get done by Easter was kind of the lower price ticketed things that we could kind of just
Yeah.
hit pretty fast and
I get it.
low labor, low cost, but it would make a pretty decent impact for Easter. So the things that we want to get done before Easter, you can kind of see it there on the thing, but the signs and banners, we talked about wanting to hang some stuff in the sanctuary, not necessarily up on the stage, but the
Around.
walls around that
Yeah.
are kind of bare where we took flags down and stuff. And Logan is working with fast signs and stuff on pricing, and we still need to, you know, work out final designs and stuff and what exactly those banners will be, but we're guesstimating about $2,500 for different types of signs and stuff. The next one down is some drum cymbals, a new set of cymbals.
Really?
That's gonna be Dustin is gonna handle that. I guess there's,
We're talking to
you
Brandon.
guys can talk more about that.
They're just
whatever.
old.
Brandon Bill. Yeah, we've had a couple, like Jeff and Tia had mentioned it,
Okay.
and Matt had mentioned it, and so did Craig. A couple people that we trust their opinion on it just told us that
Gotcha.
the cymbals were bad, but the heads were okay.
So they guessed about $400 for that. Speakers in the hallway, that one kind of morphed to where we kind of stripped it down to just the hallway, because it originally started out with replacing speakers everywhere. And then the more we talked, we kind of stripped it down to what's the real priority piece, and it's fixing the speakers in the hallway and then the one in the girls' bathroom, because I guess the girls' bathroom one is, we always have volume issues and stuff, and
Yeah.
so we put $1,000 on there, but Nell and Caleb, Nell was doing a lot of research on Amazon and found a bunch of different speakers, and it looks like for about $250. I don't remember if you were on that conversation or not. They were doing it all over
Yeah, I saw that.
Messenger. It looks like for about $250, we could probably replace all the speakers from what he had said. 'Cause
Really?
the speakers were like $34 a piece.
Yeah.
Are they talking
So-
about
Yeah.
I'm sorry, are you talking about the existing, like using the existing hole and like putting a different speaker in there?
Yeah, just
Or
put-
you, okay, good.
Yeah.
Because when I talked to Caleb, he was talking about putting something against the wall and having
Yeah,
these
he had a
boxes
bigger
and
plan.
all
Yeah.
that. And I
No,
said,
this
I
was
don't know
just-
if that's
Does that
necessary.
surprise you?
No, it didn't, but I'm like, I don't think that's really necessary. You got the hole and you got the
Well,
wire.
one of the things that we had talked about with that, because that was brought up too, and I think that as far as a thing before Easter, it was looking at just, let's just,
What can we do?
what
Got
can
it.
we do? And
Yeah.
we just replace
Got
it
it.
right
Yeah.
there to get the stuff done. Maybe if we want to switch over to wall mounted stuff, we can look at that
Okay.
down the road. but
Yeah.
At least right now to fix everything that we've got. So I know Nell and Caleb were kind of going back and forth a little bit. I think what they settled on was Nell mentioned about maybe just ordering one replacement speaker, fixing the one speaker we know is out, and then I guess if it works well, then going on ahead and purchasing the rest of them.
Okay.
But like I said, I think the most expensive one that he saw, do you remember? I think it was like $34 or something like that for the most
Yeah.
expensive one.
And you know
Yeah.
what, even at that price,
Costs a
even if
lot.
you got them all, you know what I mean?
throw 'em
They-
away.
yeah, they're cheap. I mean, or return them. You know,
Yeah.
if you
I mean,
thought
it looked
was
like
worth
it was the same
Thing
thing as what we are currently
looked a little
have up there, but
fresher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
no, I like the idea of, look, let's cheap it out just for now
Mhm.
and just recognize we just did the most inexpensive thing we could do.
It might not. I think it's just like the sound. I mean, it's not like the quality is bad. There's just like volume issues. One of the speakers is out.
Cheaping it out.
If we just
honestly.
Yeah, I
if
don't
we
know.
just put speakers in it, it would just be as it should be.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm reflecting on our experience with the projector to know that, look, you
Yeah.
spend less,
Yeah, I know.
there's something that's gonna
Right,
get you.
exactly.
It may sound good for the first 6 months and
Right.
then, it breaks.
Right.
So I'm just aware of, look, let's just consider, hey, if it's cheap, then if something breaks, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not an issue.
Well, the other thing is too, I'm sorry, I don't think those are like, those are important speakers, but they're
Yeah, but
not
they're
like.
not the
Right,
most
the
important one.
most
And that's
important
fair.
speaker.
Those
Fair
don't need
point.
to be like super nice.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
that's why they're just kind of like cheap little speakers.
Yeah.
In the ceiling.
That's
Like,
true.
it might be a very easy replaceable thing that
Mhm.
we've been spending too many months.
We might have been, and we had more grandiose plans
Right.
because, different vision. So I'm good with that. And I also like the idea of, look, I'd rather spend that money on something else right now.
yeah, something that
That
is
sells
gonna,
it for me.
yeah, something's gonna make a bigger impact for the Easter
Right,
situation, so yeah.
I'm good.
And I know one of the speakers, I think it was the more expensive one, that was like $34, was the speaker itself had a volume
Tuner,
control
yeah.
on it, so we could control the volume from the board, but then also individually.
Each
So
room.
if somebody
Oh,
says the
I
women's
think that's a
bathroom is
good
too
idea.
loud, you can
Yeah.
turn that one down
Yeah.
and leave the other hallways.
Fine.
Mhm.
I like that.
So there's, I don't know if Nell has actually got anything yet. It was the day after this meeting that they were going through all that stuff. So if not, I know he's not gonna be at this meeting on Monday because he said he's gonna be out of town. But
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
Caleb
we can
gonna
try
be
to
here
circle
today?
back around and see where we are. Do what?
If Caleb's here today, we'll ask him when he gets in. If
cool.
we got anything bought yet.
Cool.
Then the next one down is a new mic for new wireless mic. Nell said that with the receiver is fine. All we have to do is replace the mic piece. And so he was
That's like $400.
he was looking. Yeah, he found one on Amazon. It was
Wow,
around
that's way
$300-400.
cheaper than a-
The
Getting a whole
the
new-
conversation Caleb and I had was, as long as it doesn't click, I'm okay with it for now. So like I personally don't think it's like mandatory for Easter as long as it works.
Right, and it doesn't have the.
It doesn't click. Remember, it used to
Yeah.
do weird stuff.
Yeah.
So as long as we figured out what that is, we were assuming it was the wire, but I don't know.
I have no idea.
Well,
I
I,
just know that's, the two of them were talking around that. And Nell didn't
Alright.
Nell didn't seem too concerned about being able to get that before Easter. So, and he already spec'd one out again. He already spec'd one out on Amazon, and
Okay.
it was
Yeah.
kind of in that same conversation about the hallway lights. He found one. He found one that was like a
He's Mr. Cheap.
yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, it's what-
frugal.
yeah, I can find one cheaper.
Yeah,
Wow.
frugal,
It
yeah.
can bite you in the booty.
Well, I
Yeah.
think there's
So I'm
specific
balanced
stuff
around.
that you should get cheap versus like
Well,
a projector. and-
So yeah, we had a $49 version of the mic. Wasn't good. So I'm good.
Well,
I'm
I
guessing not.
will say during our meeting he did bring that up. was
Yeah.
he said, you
Yeah.
know, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And so when he was talking about the mics and stuff like that, he was talking about the fact that, you know, we need $300, not a $50 mic, but
Cool.
the hallway speakers was kind of funny because I feel like he was sort of pushing to only get one and do the, you know, and use the existing versus just replacing everything, but
Oh,
That's
I'm sure that was interesting
that's
to
part of
watch.
why he's on the board, right? You
No,
wanted
I mean,
you wanted
yeah.
to be like that and watch those dollars.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. But I mean, I'm still of the opinion that Pastor Steve needs his own mic so nobody else is
Well,
messing
that's
with
the-
it.
I think that's
Well,
the thing. Whatever, if we get one, or even if we keep this one, just
stand.
keep everybody else off that.
Yeah.
And that was mentioned too, because I know that in this meeting, I think we talked about that, of having one specifically for you and then another really nice one, but that would be used for guest speakers.
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
that kind of thing. And so I think that would be the intent here, is if they buy this one, it would be yours specifically, and then maybe use the other one that you currently are using as that, and then possibly down the road replacing it.
Perfect.
Let's see, the next thing, stage monitor. So I'm looking at the right-hand list now, a little bit halfway down.
Mhm.
Stage monitor, put $300 next to that, but I bought a little thing on Amazon, a little converter, so I'm thinking that might be able to do that. It was only like $20, so hopefully if that
Interesting.
works, then we have all the other equipment we need. Basically what that is right now we've got that big monitor that's mounted on the media booth,
Yeah.
right? When you're on the stage, you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not really acting like a stage monitor. It's just kind of giving you a semi-duplicate of what is on the screen behind you, minus the live camera feed.
Yeah.
A stage monitor will be one where it could have a countdown clock. So if somebody's doing announcements, it says you got 10 minutes.
Okay.
You got to finish your announcements in 10 minutes and then get off the stage, because we got that way somebody doesn't get up there and get long-winded and take 20 minutes to do
Interesting.
something that should only take 5.
Interesting.
It'll also have the option to be able to show, here's the slide that's currently up, here's the next slide that's going to come up.
Interesting.
So
And
as
you
you're
can't
preaching-
do that on this one.
Do what?
You can't do that on the one that's out there.
No, the monitor we can. What we're missing equipment from Pro Presenter to split the signal.
Got it.
So that's what I bought. I bought a new
Oh,
converter
okay,
piece.
okay, I gotcha.
Because Pro Presenter will do it. We just don't have the way the cables are run and the equipment coming out of the PC. It's not set up to see that third
Got
monitor.
it.
It just shows 2 monitors.
Okay.
But the graphics card on the PC, I looked at it this week and it actually has 3 outputs on it. So
Okay.
we're just not using that third output. So I bought a little converter to be able to use the third output, and I'm hoping that as long as this converter works, then we can turn that big television into an actual stage monitor,
Got it.
and possibly,
Good.
maybe
I
not
think
by
that's good.
tomorrow, but by even next Sunday, have the actual stage monitor set up. And there's
Awesome.
different configurations and layouts that you can do in Pro Presenter for that stage monitor. So we'll kind of look and see what feels the best for people, because it looks completely different. You have to kind of understand when you're looking at it what you're actually seeing, because it does not look anything like what people are seeing on the main thing. There's like different tables and stuff, and when they do the here's what's currently up, here's what's coming next, a lot of times it strips away the actual media stuff and it's just text.
Okay.
So for you, when you're preaching, it'll just show
It'll show what the
just the verse, and that's it. It
That's
won't show
great.
anything else, and you'll be able to see,
Good.
okay, that's what people are reading, this is what's coming up. And,
Awesome.
and then we'll figure out when and how we want to use the countdowns and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
There's a big thing. I know we've got the one clock in the sound booth, but there's an option to be able to put a big clock up there too, so that, you know, as we're doing things, you can really easily see what time it is and how long you've been up there and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of different things we can do with it.
I like it.
Like that big clock right there.
That's a big clock.
So the stage monitor, and then
On
network
purpose.
cables was the next one, about third from the bottom of the list there. Put a $0 amount because CTS, we want to get some network cables for those back offices anyway. So I just told Dal I'm just going to buy enough to be able to do that, plus whatever the church needs. So CTS will supply the equipment, and then Nell and a couple of people just need to get together to run whatever the additional network cables are that he wants to do to be able to make the Wi-Fi signal even more consistent and strong for visitors and
Gotcha.
everything else.
Okay.
That's
We
good.
also talked about the PC in the media booth, actually hardwiring it and getting it off of Wi-Fi.
That's a good
That
idea.
way it's a very consistent signal and we don't
Huge
take the
idea.
chance of, because we stream Spotify and all
Oh,
kinds of
yeah.
stuff off of it, and so if we lose our Wi-Fi signal, it
You're
messes
done.
stuff up.
Oh.
So those are the main things that we wanted to do before Easter.
Cool.
The other one that we were, if possible, it's marked as an A2 right now, but would be really nice if it was an A1, was that projector. Second from the top on the left there. We've got $6,000 marked for a new projector. Again, it's one of those, you get what you pay for, so if we replace it, we wanna make sure that we're putting the money into it to get something that's really gonna be what we
Yeah,
want.
there's no question.
There are some other things though, before we would really start to look at replacing our current projector, we wanna go in and play with some of the settings on our current one to see if we can fix it through the settings, see if there's some stuff in there that maybe we've got set wrong now that we've got the new system, the new cameras and all that stuff. Mainly what's happening with that is that, well, there's two things. One is periodically it'll lose signal. It did it twice on Sunday. We'll go for 4 or 5 Sundays in a row with no problem, and then all of a sudden one Sunday it'll just start dropping signal just randomly for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then all of a sudden, boom, it'll receive the signal and the picture comes back. And
That's weird.
like I said, it did it twice this past Sunday.
Yeah.
Could that be the HDMI that it's running?
Well, that's what the
Well,
problem was
that's,
last time.
yeah, that's what we're not sure about. It could either be the HDMI or it can be the port into the projector. I don't know, because we replaced the HDMI. It was doing it really bad
Yeah, so we
for a
got-
period of about a month,
Yeah.
almost like, it seemed like, especially when we first come in and we'd start to fire the system up, it was just dropping like crazy, and then after about 30 minutes or so, it would semi get stable and then be okay, but it was almost an every week thing that was happening. And then I know these guys came in and they re-ran a cable, and it seemed to fix it, but then it still, like 2 weeks later, it dropped once or twice, and then like I said, it dropped this past Sunday, and I think between those times, it's done it maybe 2 or 3 other times. So I don't know, again, if it's the cabling or if there's something on the port on the projector or what it is that causes it to do that. But so that's one issue. The other issue is, and you probably don't ever see it because the projector's behind you, but there's certain angles when the cameras will hit somebody, and specifically white people,
Yeah.
their faces look so like glowy, just
Yeah.
masked out. It's weird, and they look. It's almost embarrassing to have it up on the screen
Yeah.
because it looks so
It's so
messed
bad.
up
Interesting.
on the screen.
It's like the
You look at the
contrast.
monitors, perfect.
And they're fine.
The monitors look
It's-
gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's just that projector, the way
That's
the
weird.
projector picks up the signal and shoots it onto the screen.
Yeah.
And so that's what Nell is saying, that maybe there's some settings that we can play with on the projector. Because at first I was thinking, well, maybe we got the light balance and the gain set too high on the cameras.
Yep.
But like I said, when you look at it on the monitors, it looks
Yeah, they're
perfect.
fine.
So it's not the camera, it's literally the way the projector is picking up the signal and shooting it onto the screen. So like when we've done Craig and he's been praise and worship,
Because he's awful white.
would start to put him up on the screen, and it was like, no, just go to the lyrics. Don't even
Right,
put his face up there because it looks so.
He's glowing.
It looks
He's-
so
yeah.
bad.
Maybe it's his makeup.
I mean, you can barely make out like. It
Yeah,
just looks like a
it's
white
disfigured.
blob.
Yeah.
Like it just
Aw.
looks horrible.
Well, and it's just darker. Like everything else is
Yeah.
just like way darker.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, especially because we have the 2 different camera angles. We've got the main camera angle when you're preaching, and then we got the one on the side.
Yep.
The one that looks directly at you is good because you've got the stage lights behind you, so
Yep.
it kind of lights things up. The other one that shoots you from the side is shooting that back corner wall where some speakers and just that back doorway and stuff, and there's no lights behind there. When you look at it on the screen, you can see all of that detail behind you.
Okay.
When you look at it on the monitor, literally it just looks like there's a black backdrop behind you.
Right.
It looks like you're just standing there and there's nothing behind you. So that's
Okay.
the other thing too, is just some of those details and so I don't know if it's the lumens from the projector and we just need to get something with, a stronger bulb. So that's some of the stuff we still need to
Okay.
play with, but if we find that we can't do anything with the settings on the projector, that it doesn't fix anything, then that was the other piece that we were kind of hoping to, if at all possible,
Yeah.
but that's that's the big ticket one. If we do something before Easter,
I mean, that one will have a huge impact,
Oh,
right? So, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
To get
the
one from us.
presentation of, you know, of what we're doing becomes pretty doggone important.
But the
for just
Yeah.
anybody.
the price of what Andre quoted us is less than 6K. It's at, like,
Well, yeah, because
3.
he's giving us a huge discount.
Yeah, it's at like
Yeah,
3,
that's-
and that's the best one of them.
Yeah, and the lumens are higher. It's,
Way
it's
higher.
probably a more durable thing. It's more industrial
How much you say it was that?
kind of
3.
solution.
Oh wow, so half.
Yeah, it's
well,
it's priced at
Yeah,
5.
no, I
I mean,
mean,
if that's one that, yeah, that he.
And that's the best one.
Now you said though
That's
that
the
he
best one he
had
offered.
suggested this one a while back, right?
Yeah.
It was
Did the
no.
screen-
Nell said it was 5 years
No,
ago.
it
This was
wasn't.
like a year and a half ago
It was,
that he
yeah.
quoted
Okay.
because he quoted the screen with it.
So you
Okay,
may
all right.
you may
So-
check and refresh just to see,
Just to
if there
verify
isn't a
that's
better
the right
unit
one for
now.
sure.
but yeah, he knows what the most current stuff is for sure.
Okay, sweet. So beyond that, we've got, just to run through the A2 list, obviously the electric. Once we get those smaller A1 list things out of the way, out of the A2, the electric is probably the top
Yeah.
priority because it drives a lot of other stuff.
Mhm.
But that also bleeds over into
Wow.
the facilities team
Yeah.
need for the sign, lighting, and landscaping and all that stuff. So our team and the facilities team need to work together on that and
Mhm.
figure out exactly what we need. But that's very high priority.
Got it.
Even if we're not able to get anything else on the A2 list, that's got to be a focus for this year.
Okay.
Just because it drives so many other things, plus compliance and safety and all kinds of other stuff with it.
That's right. Nobody wants to send anybody up above that thing. 'Cause,
Right.
Yeah. And we've known that, so yeah, the board would say, yeah, we knew that was there, we just didn't know what was gonna drive the timing.
Yeah. Just quickly, some of the other A2 stuff, talked about possibly a new podium for
Yeah,
you. There's kind of
he's been
discussions,
bugging me
there's
about that.
back and forth discussion on the need for that, but you know, it might be nice
I
a
mean, yeah,
new
it's not-
podium.
If it's cheap, it's not
Um,
gonna hurt anything, but,
We talked about replacing the fans in the sanctuary,
yeah.
getting new fans, trying to get rid of the click, 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 click noise every time we turn them on, especially now that summer's coming up, we're gonna be using them more. And,
Yeah.
So that was really the main stuff on the A2 list. Like I said, once we get through the A1, the electric is gonna be the big thing to focus on, even if we don't get to the fans and
Okay.
the podium and all that. And then the B list,
It was like wish list.
I'm guessing
Okay.
that electric is probably gonna be it for this year.
That's probably
I
right.
don't know
That's
that
a
we're
big
even gonna
chunk.
get to the B
Yeah,
list.
it's
The B
a
list is
lot.
probably gonna be a 2020 thing.
That's fine.
But on the B list, we've got new chairs. There's a few new lights that Dustin wants that he said would really add to the system. But like he even said, he's like, there's literally no point in thinking about buying any new lights until you get the electric. He said because you just buy them, they
Makes
set,
sense.
you can't run them. So
Yeah.
That makes sense.
new soundboard, new mics for the worship team. They talked more about maybe trying to get some wireless mics for the worship team, but
Yep.
Landon said he's like, the mics that we have right now are perfectly fine. That would just be something that would be a nice to have kind of thing. Camera stands, we had talked about eventually building actual elevated stands on those two corners in the sanctuary, rather than just having the camera set at ground level, so it kind of lifts the camera up a little bit higher, so you get a better shot over people, especially if we start to get more and more crowds.
Yeah,
Typically at the end of service, when you ask everybody to stand with you,
yeah, you can't
at
see
that point, I just
anything.
tell whoever's running that side camera, go ahead and shut it down, because literally
You
you're
won't
just
see
looking
anything.
through crowds of heads and you can't
Yeah.
see you because of how low the camera is. So we were talking about building two stands on either side that would elevate the
Good.
stuff. Let's see.
That's good, those are good.
Hazer and smoke detector, that's one that, again, really nice to have. It would add to certain things that we would do. Basically what that is it's kind of like a fog machine, but it's not
Oh,
like
okay.
a full-on fog machine. It just
It's
puts
very
like a little
light.
bit of a haze in the air, and what happens is when that haze is in the air, you see the light beams better.
right.
It defines the light beams. So like if you're
Right.
doing like a worship set and you've got certain lighting set up to set a mood and things, if that hazer is there, you'd see some of the lights
Yeah.
kind of moving through, and it just does something for the environment. But again, that's one of those like really nice to haves, but certainly not a priority. But the problem is, in order to do that, we'd have to do something with our smoke detectors, because our current
Yeah,
detectors are
they'll go
ones
off.
that
Yep.
if they see any kind of particles, it'll instantly
It
trigger
goes
them. So
off.
we need to switch the smoke detectors in order to be able to use a hazer.
Okay.
And then the soundboard, cables, and connectors. So running some different, and those guys can talk more about whatever that was, but
Okay.
basically just replacing cables and
Now,
connectors.
from what we found yesterday,
Yeah.
you could cross off
do
the
it?
soundboard and the
You guys did a
cable.
bunch. Yeah, I don't know what in the world that was put on there for.
Yeah.
So you think based on all the stuff that you guys just did with Nell and rewiring, you found that there was some stuff that was
Much stuff. It's like if we bought anything else, we wouldn't have a place for it.
Right.
Interesting.
We have a whole
So-
soundboard, a 24 channel
Yeah.
soundboard.
Where that, I seem to remember that being.
We have an extra
And a
snake.
24
too.
channel snake, yeah.
We have an
Found
extra
a
snake,
giant
so
snake.
like
Really?
all of the
That's
channels
up
where to
in the
go out
ceiling.
On one?
current sound
You could
system,
swap
we
it
have
over.
another one to go back it up.
Wow.
Like,
Well, if there's
So-
nuclear
that
war,
was-
at least we can do service, right?
yeah,
well, you could probably use a lot of that then in the activity center, couldn't you?
That's
Because
exactly
there's a
what
lot
we
of
said.
that's what we kind of
people
talked
wanna do.
about. We got a board,
Interesting.
we got a board and a 24 channel snake
We also
Yeah.
talked
that
about
can
E3.
that can run from it. So
Incredible.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like 90% of it was trash, and then we we found like a soundboard and a snake, which is all value.
I was just like
The rest of it
Yeah,
is
that's
garbage.
worth like
Oh, my
what,
word.
$3,000.
So and then the last thing is stage design. We only put $2,000 on there because what we were thinking, this isn't talking about doing the big construction, we were removing the steps and all that kind of stuff. This is more basically if we took the curtains down and maybe replaced it with a big, just solid black curtain or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just doing some lighter, minor stuff that, even if we replace that curtain, I could easily see that curtain costing $2,000 to get it
Oh,
fabric
yeah.
enough to cover that entire
At
thing.
least.
So,
Believe it.
Oh, yeah.
but again, that's a B-list thing, that's
Okay.
not priority, so.
No, it's really helpful to see it in
Yeah, it
phases
is.
like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we can give the board sort of $1 for Easter, $1 for after Easter through the year, and then $1 for next year.
A lot of the
That's
B
actually a
stuff
good
was
plan.
just like, that was just like, just what's on your wish list. So a lot
Yeah.
of it's kind of just like, oh, this would be nice to have. So
yeah.
most of the B list stuff isn't even like necessary.
Yeah, I would
But
say
if
it's
we-
pretty unbiddable.
Right. Like if we come across something, we're like, oh,
Yeah.
we need that.
No, in that case, I would actually, are we got a full complement of what we want in terms of the video stuff and the cameras? Are we there
We're,
from that
honestly, we're
standpoint?
good on that. I think at this point,
Just
if we got
volunteers.
anything else, we wouldn't be
Yeah.
able to run it because we don't have, there's a lot of times that blue camera is just setting because we don't have volunteers to run it, so.
Got it.
From a camera perspective, we're pretty well set
Okay.
on what we need on that. So.
Okay.
Only thing-
Outside of those stands and elevating the two side cameras,
Right.
but even that it'd be nice to have.
I wonder
Okay.
if there's a way to fix. This is like a you and I conversation, but like the buzzing in the YouTube videos. Like if you
For the
turn up
audio?
volume, yeah.
That
that always-
still all has to do with the way the sound is coming off of the board and
Yeah.
the volume settings are so sensitive, like you just barely bump it.
Mhm.
The other thing I've noticed is we'll set the cameras and it'll sound really nice
Mhm.
and the buzzing will be gone.
Mhm.
And then the next Sunday when they come in and they have to do different sound checks and they
Yeah.
start having to tweak things, it throws all the camera. So
Ooh.
you almost have to, every time you sound check for the band, sound check for the cameras
Interesting.
every Sunday.
Really?
Because once you do it once and then you start tweaking the other things,
Yeah, it gets off.
it can throw the
Kicks
setting
it
of
off.
the camera off.
Wow.
That's
I'm gonna visit
fascinating.
Caleb this Tuesday. Where we're at. Well, actually, I don't know because Jake won't be there again. I can see if maybe he's back in town and he wants to just come in for just a
We'll be
day.
back in town.
Okay. So I'll have him. I'm gonna have Caleb come in on Tuesday, and we're gonna have the full band there. I'm gonna sit back there in the booth with him and help him figure out a mix for our group, just to get us set and basically tape down those channels as like this is what they are, and nobody touches them. They stay
Yeah.
that way forever. And so when that's done, we can then look at the camera, get that tweaked up, and everything should be set. Nothing should move ever.
Okay.
So
Cause I actually did it this past Sunday, the buzzing was horrible when we first set up, and so I had to go back down and play with all of the things just to get it at a reasonable, and I don't think the audio sounded terrible.
No.
You could kind
No,
of hear a
Last,
little buzz
last
when he
week's
was
video.
talking, but
that could be a thing too. Like once we have the band set and like we don't really need to do a super strenuous sound check, we just need to turn everything on and just make sure it's working. he can then make that part of his daily routine when he comes in, is just make sure the camera's set and working. And
that is another piece though, as we build the media team, one of the things that I do need to train the actual camera operator on is to be able to monitor that as service is going, because they can, whoever's running that main camera, there's a pair of headphones there, and if they start to hear some buzzing, there's really only 3 things to adjust. There's 2 little volume knobs on the camera, and then there's a main record out knob on the soundboard.
Okay.
And really, those 2 volume knobs on the camera are the primary things, and so if they're
Okay.
starting to hear some buzzing, if they turn those down a little bit, and at that point, if it gets so low, but you're still kind of hearing the buzzing, then you would adjust that record out on the board. But that's another thing we can do, is start to train that main camera operator how to adjust those 3 settings too, to try to work it during the service.
thinking too, I've got an idea a little better of how much, like what kind of cabling we've got. I can check and see if maybe that cable might be bad, like
Which cable?
the cable that's running to the camera to.
No, I know that camera's not, because I literally just replaced it like
Okay.
2 weeks ago. I bought a brand new one, so that cable is good.
So it might be the board's record out is just shot then, or like it's not working well.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think it's just the settings, because we had it set, we went through, once I replaced those cameras, or the cable, we tweaked the system and we got it sounded great. There was no buzzing. I just noticed that over time, as we start to tweak other things continually on the board, and I'm not saying that that's bad, I mean, I know that has to happen. I'm just saying that I think that starts to affect the setting on the camera too, so it's just another thing that as we're doing other types of sound checks, the camera now is another element that we need to continue to sound check as well, because it's gonna, everything that changes is gonna affect it, so.
Yeah, no, and so just keeping connected to the vision, you know, this is a lot of resource, a lot of energy, much more complicated than anybody would ever dream. Employs people in that process, which is great, sort of gets volunteers involved in it, but you know, the purpose being, I mean, everybody has to be able to be articulate around, so why are we doing all this? Why are we doing all this? Because, you know, we'll still get people that are thinking, well, you know, it could be doing other things spiritually. But, you know, we always gotta remind ourselves and them, okay, there's a part of this that's required in order to get to a certain place in terms of what we wanna do. And that is that we're connected with people on Sunday and we're actually creating an experience for them that's unique and spiritual, you know? And yeah, praying is part of it, right? Because the other thing I don't want people to do is say, well, you know, you guys got the lights and the sound and all that stuff, so you think that's the spiritual thing. Well, it's a part of it. And there still needs to be, and I would challenge us that, okay, for all the spiritual people that are like, yeah, but we gotta pray, well, we gotta do so.
Yeah.
There has to come a point where we actually say, yes, there are also people in the back room praying.
Right.
It's not that, and so I wanna get us out of the mindset of thinking, well, my gift is what is needed here, or what I would call is what's needed here. Yeah, that plus, right? And we don't get rid of this in order to do that, we do both. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think we've still gotta learn that, right?
Yeah.
People are still talking either or. Yeah, but we need to pray. Yes, of course we do, but we gotta do that too.
Praying shouldn't make us not be able to move.
That or not be, or not appeal to people's senses.
Yeah, exactly.
Because again, I think that's where people are not being accurate about. Well, appealing to somebody's senses is not ungodly.
Right.
Yeah, it's a God-driven thing.
It's
Absolutely.
all a God-driven thing. When and I'll use Tara. When Tara makes a meal, some people might say, "Well, that's not spiritual." It's like, you better believe it is. What did Jesus do? What did he do? He fed the 5. I mean, did he not feed people? And he actually prioritized it. He was like, get them fed. Before we do the teaching, get them fed. Feed their flesh at some level, because that honors the fact that they're human. And then, okay, so now we got them fed, we got them all fed up, right? And so now we can preach the gospel. And then we can follow up. So again, we got to always be able to say, let's do more of what the gifts would encourage us to do. And so for the people, I'm still looking for the people that are willing to pray on Sunday. I'm not moving you to it, right? I'm not gonna say, Landon, stop worshiping and let's all pray together. No, it's
Yeah.
gonna be Landon, go worship, and then we're gonna get some prayer people, if
Right.
that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely is both, not a
Yeah,
one or the other either or thing.
yeah,
'Cause I mean, even from the media side to kind of sort of, I guess, defend, the media side a little bit more as well, is that, you know, there's something in our culture that if something has a Christian brand on it, it just immediately is, well, it's going to be cheesy, it's going to be
Mhm.
stupid, it's going to
Yeah,
be low quality,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah.
And in order to be able to reach unsaved people, if you come across as a cheesy,
Get off your game.
low quality thing, people aren't going to pay attention to what you have. But if you have something that's nice, top quality, looks good,
Mhm.
you have a better opportunity of catching the attention of someone who's not spiritual,
Yeah,
who's unsaved, that
Right.
needs Christ and needs to actually hear the message. They're going to be more apt to actually watch and listen to something that's higher quality and looks good versus, you know.
yeah, and when they experience it, what are they thinking? I mean, I always have to put myself in
I
their
can't
head.
believe this is church.
Okay, that's one, I love that statement, which is, I can't believe this is church.
Mhm.
What else are they thinking? If they come in and they experience something that's excellent, it's like, oh, okay, wow, you just put some energy into this thing.
Yeah.
What else are they thinking?
They want to be a part of it
Why?
because it's exciting and we're glorifying God while doing something exciting as it should be.
Yeah, and you obviously care about it,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we always have to remember, our example before people is, you obviously care about it, or you obviously are getting a benefit out of it. You're obviously energized on Sunday. Wow, I mean, they're sort of drawn to energy.
Mhm.
They're drawn to a positive experience. They're drawn to people that are like excited about God. And then they're like, well, let me check this out. And we can't ever forget that they're interpreting our excellence as, you obviously care about this.
Mhm.
And so there must be something here.
And that's why you're seeing so much like revival, especially in the last like 10 to 15 years, is because churches really
That's a
began
great point.
to care.
They
and,
did.
like, give more effort on how they're presenting themselves to people and how they're treating others, and I think it might seem like a superficial thing, but like, how do you expect to reach the world?
Right. They're
Yeah.
flesh.
Human people, we're all superficial. Like, how
Right.
do you expect to
Right.
reach people?
We start
Right.
there.
Exactly. So,
Right.
So yeah, I'm sorry guys, you
Yeah.
know, you gotta reach their flesh at a certain
Yeah.
point.
I-
But what I love about, we're not really playing to their flesh.
right,
We're addressing it. We're saying their senses still have to be dealt with.
right.
Mhm.
And so when the music sounds terrible, guess what? You can't be spiritual.
Right.
The preaching's gonna not be good, because I mean, like, that was the worst thing, and man, I heard the clicking and the noise. I mean, yeah, their brains are out somewhere else
Right.
at that point.
Right.
You've lost them.
Right.
So, I mean, this is, again, I'm reinforcing it because I want everybody to understand these are critical pieces of us then getting the gospel to people.
Right.
No question about it.
Right.
It's cool how the two pieces can really work powerfully together, because if you have all the prayer side, and that is super strong, is it going to be effective? Yeah, it's going to be effective to a point.
And
Mhm.
within-
Right.
But if you don't have anything to be able to take that prayer time and communicate it to people who are unsaved, they're not going to know about it. You can be in
Right.
a room by yourself praying all day long, and God will move eventually
He will.
through other things, but how much better is it if we pray plus give the opportunity
Yes.
to connect that prayer for somebody to be able to see it? And then on the flip side, the same thing. We could have an amazingly professional, awesome video, but if we don't have the prayer side,
Right.
can it be effective? Sure, it
Yeah,
can be
but not
effective, but
as-
there's no
It's a great.
power and anointing to the level that it could be
It's a great-
Right.
if you have the prayer backing it up. And when you put the two together, you send a message out that's professional, great quality, and underneath that, you've got a backing of anointing prayer that goes along with that.
Amen.
Oh my gosh, when somebody watches it, the video is the bait on the hook that gets them to, oh, that's pretty cool. I wonder what that, you know.
Yeah.
And then as they're watching it, from a spiritual perspective, that message has been backed with prayer and anointing and everything
That's good.
else. So now all of a sudden, that starts to kick into the person's heart while they're watching it. Now it's not just an awesome quality video. Now there's some spiritual stuff that's coming out of that that's making a connection on the person.
Right.
Amen.
Right.
And so you
Right.
have both of those elements coming together. When you have them both, it could be a super
my goodness.
strong
Absolutely.
thing to be able to
Yeah.
push into the communities.
Amen.
Absolutely.
And for me, that's sozo.
Mhm.
Sozo's never forgetting that if God wants us to prosper in our spirit, our souls, and in our bodies,
Yeah.
the whole person is what God's talking to. And so, yes, He is willing to heal us. I mean, what does that tell you? That our bodies matter, right? Our flesh does matter to God. Now, He doesn't want it to go over to the sin nature, right?
Mhm.
But still, the sozo idea is wholeness. And so, yeah, when you can address all the channels in people, you can meet all their needs.
Mhm.
When you can get them gifts, when some people, one person hugs them, another one says, hey man, let me pray with you, another one says, hey, do you need some help, with some issues? I mean, that to me is a vision of the body. When the
Yeah.
body's working,
Absolutely.
all those things are available for people,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and we don't cut each other off.
Mhm.
We don't say, you're just making food for them. Yeah, so what? That's
Yeah.
a part of it.
Right.
You're carnal because you're doing the mercy because you're just hugging them. No, that's not true.
It's important. Yeah.
So
Everything's
it's important we sort of always have language to defend and to talk about what the vision is here, because I still think it's pretty unique.
Yeah.
And I guess when we go to other churches that are excellent, they probably have a similar conversation, but I don't know. I don't know if churches are getting to the point where they're like, no, it's gotta be this and that, not this or that,
Yeah.
right? And so the more we get people involved in it, the better it's gonna be
Yeah.
overall.
I mean, that's what appealed to me when I lived in LA and went to Zoe. Like, the first thing I was like thinking was like, this is church.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. Like, I feel like I'm at a concert, but I'm also getting a word.
Yeah.
And I'm leaving
Yeah.
feeling like not empty. Like,
Right.
I had a fantastic.
Which is a great,
Yeah.
that's a great comment.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you leave having a fantastic experience as if you went to a concert, or like we're seeing a band that you really enjoyed, but you also left with like a powerful word and like people that were nice to you and welcoming and loved you as like Jesus loved people.
So one of the series we're gonna do is called And. It's gonna be And,
Okay.
and it's just gonna be. So what are you talking about? This and that. God's not this or that. He's actually this and that.
Okay.
Everything He
Put it
does.
to work.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we gotta get this vision out, because I mean, unless people articulate it like we're doing it, they're gonna be like, you're just another church. You're just doing this and that.
Yeah.
No, there's a plan here. There's something that we're seeing God tell us to do.
Someone said to me, some random guy, the Rivertown guy,
Yeah.
I told him that we had been a church since like 1980 something, but we like rebranded and like, he was like, so you guys aren't a church plant? And I was like, no. He's like, that's so refreshing, because like you see all these church plants all over the place that don't have roots in their
Yeah.
city,
I know.
but instead of like
They do. They just sort of pop in.
right, and you don't really know that city or the people, and like you kind of have to like put yourself there where we're like super in it, and he said like the fact that we didn't just like close our doors and then like sell out to someone else, the fact that we like rebranded.
told us
and-
to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
People thought we did.
People thought we did,
Yeah.
right? On
But I
Facebook,
thought
they're
that was
like,
cool.
I heard you guys just like going on. No, we didn't.
Yeah. But I thought that was cool because like someone who has never even been to our church, like just by like what I told him,
Yeah.
like had that like opinion was really cool.
Well, and the other thing, and this is vision for us, is even if it's a generational thing where, I'll get old Gray and Croxley at some point, and somebody will say, yeah, but, look at the guys that have taken over. I mean, it really was that it was a handoff. And I think Pastor Kim did a nice job of handing off to me.
Yeah.
I mean, he moved out, man, and was just like, no, he's the guy taking it. So we always should have a continuity based on the generations handing off.
Right.
In a godly way, in a loving way, without offense and anger, without splits. I mean, and think about that. How many churches have really continued to grow generationally without having like a major issue?
Right.
Right? It was like, the son got really mad and started his own church next to the dad. I mean, that's the way the world works. It's always a really messy divorce, right? As opposed to a very graceful movement forward. And so I see that. I see a graceful movement forward, not a, discontinuity or
Right.
a breach.
Yeah.
So I think that we gotta keep that on our heads, and we gotta
Yeah, we
pray
do.
about that. It's like,
We do.
God, you want this church to be here 200 years from now, if Jesus tarries, right?
Right.
You want us to have roots that goes
That's what the
deep.
song's about.
Is that right? So talk about the song.
I said a prayer for strength for the next couple generations, that we would be able to build
Interesting.
something more kind of, it's kind of geared toward our group that's kind of stepping into leadership, and it's prayer for strength, that we would be able to build something in our state that we're in right now that would last for the next couple generations, and the next couple handoffs, that we
Gotcha.
have
Beautiful.
systems in place, and
Yeah, and roots, man. Just
and
call
That's
it
the
roots.
thing.
Let's make it
Yeah.
organic.
Yeah.
It's roots, man. And even though the tree might get broke, I mean, if the roots are strong, the tree comes back.
And that's the thing, is
Yeah.
we're
Right?
building that foundation.
We are.
that's exactly what it's about. It's
Yeah.
about
Love
just
it.
a prayer for a planting of roots that become a foundation for us.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
I was excited when you told me you guys were writing a song.
I didn't know you guys read a full song. I was like, oh, they'll just write a few.
We just need one more verse and we're done.
No kidding. That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it is.
And I expect that when God's moving.
I was just gonna say that. That's
I
what you
expect that.
expect that when we're in unity and we're trying to perform God's will, those kind of things are just gonna pop up.
They are.
And we have to be open for them, and we have to funnel them toward God's will, you know, and not be heady about it and just,
Well, that's what
Yeah.
when they first were talking about it, I
Awesome.
kind of was like, don't you think it's like a little too soon? Not because I don't want them to write music,
Yeah.
but it was like, you know, I'm just like getting in my head, like, well,
Yeah.
but I'm not even a part of it, and I had that opinion, but it's so true that like a lot of the times we just have to step back and like
Mhm.
shut ourselves up and just kind of do what God is
and
telling
let
us to.
somebody else relish in their gift and
Right.
show us
Absolutely.
what God's showing them,
Right,
you
because it's
know?
not me, it's
And
it's
not
him.
being so quick to
That's true.
Yeah.
give your word over it,
Right.
which might not be
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah.
God wants you to do.
Right.
Oh,
And I
absolutely.
think that's the same way with the audio stuff. I think that people don't get, well, it's gone now, but
Sorry.
they don't get the importance of all
They
that.
don't. They
But
don't
then,
understand.
but when you step back and you think about, this is necessary because this is how we are reaching the world.
Correct.
This is a
It's
way
absolutely
that
required.
you're touching the world, and people, and especially if you throw dollar amounts on that, people get all,
Yeah, they're like, oh, so why are we spending that on
yeah,
that?
the
Why do
church
we need
doesn't
that?
have that kind of,
That's
or
what they're
whatever, because some are still in that mentality of we're a poor church or whatever.
That's true.
Or they're in the mentality of, I don't know, I don't see the importance
need
in that.
for it, right.
But it is important, if we wanna reach the world, which we do, and we wanna we have to think of all the different outlets.
Mhm.
And yeah, there's still nothing that's gonna be above and beyond personal,
Mhm.
which is our Sunday morning, and which is our conversation, your conversation with that guy.
Mhm.
You know, that touched him, he's gonna tell somebody, and there's no better
Yeah, you don't know.
word of no better way of getting people in than word of mouth.
Yeah.
But so many people do the YouTube stuff,
Yeah.
and that's we have to have that.
Yeah.
We're not doing that to be cliquey and worldly. We're doing that because that is something that we are going to use to reach people.
And we believe we have something to say. I think
Mhm.
a lot of it is like I truly believe in everything my dad says. Like,
Yeah,
especially when he preaches. It's like
Except when I'm talking about helicopters and stuff.
Yeah.
Or pictures that we never got, but
or
anyway.
politics.
Keep going.
A lot of what my dad preaches is like something that I feel. Like he may not feel this way, but like I feel it, and I think it's important to have the backing of your congregation.
yeah,
I feel a lot of the stuff he says needs to be heard. And
yeah,
It's like what better way to do that than upload a video on YouTube for people
Absolutely.
to like
Well,
stream
sure.
for free.
absolutely.
Like you never know who's gonna be touched by that. And
Yeah,
I think as a church we need to be more confident in that God has given us something to say, and
absolutely.
that's why we've had this heart change. And
Mhm.
yeah.
Amen.
Yeah,
But look at the vision piece. All of a sudden, I see a different. You know, it's funny. Spiritually, when things happen, you see vision.
Mhm.
When a song happens, I see something else.
mhm.
I mean, because all of a sudden it opens up the possibilities. Oh, you mean God can give us songs? All of a sudden it's like, well, I mean, yeah. Well, why
Yeah.
can't he?
Yeah,
Why wouldn't he?
right.
And he could give us unique songs that then it sort of brand the church or whatever, or become things that allow us to reach out to different groups of people because now God's given us that
Right.
creativity.
Right.
I mean, nobody would have ever, I don't think, even in the formation of this thing, said, but worship will become potentially songwriting. Songs that get introduced that weren't there before. We're not repeating somebody else's songs.
Right.
God's given us the creativity to create new songs.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me adds a whole different dimension.
It
I don't
sure
even think
does.
Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say that, you know, again, as we partner both sides together, the kind of the fleshy type of side and the prayer spiritual piece, you know, it opens the door too to so many additional avenues of being able to present the gospel to people, you know, like this with the songwriting. We're at the stage now where they're writing a song, but we also have the equipment where we can do a pretty darn good recording of that song
Yeah.
and get it out on stuff to where
That's great.
maybe other churches
That's outstanding.
suddenly hear this song and it starts to bless them too.
Yeah, you know.
It starts to
Right.
bless other people. You know, I mean, we, 2 Sundays ago or something like that, did a Crossroads song that they wrote.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't a mainstream song. They wrote it and it blessed our congregation. And now, because we're investing money into equipment and being able to do a lot of different things, it opens the door for us to be able to have multiple avenues now of how we can get, you know, we could very easily do a YouTube
Yeah.
teaching series where it's not a Sunday morning recording, it's literally an actual teaching
Yes.
series that's
Good.
specific for YouTube or specific for various types of media stuff. You know, there's
Yeah.
all types of different things now because we're putting effort into both sides of it and not just one side.
Right.
Yeah.
We have so
Yeah.
many other tools at our disposal now to be able to get the word out. It's
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
cool to see.
Yeah.
No, and you said it. It opens doors.
Mhm.
Right?
Right?
It's kind of
opens doors.
It's kind of exciting to think about because you know that different people in the church have different gifts and different words, you know, or you know, teachings or whatever. And it's like here God has placed on the worship team to do a song.
Amen.
So that opens it up that
does.
God's going, if we continue the prayer and we continue God's anointing on this, there's other people that are going to step up and preach on Sundays or do teachings or
Amen.
whatever
Amen, 'cause the doors
that
are there.
that go right along with our vision and go right along with a series that you might like to end or you know something might click in somebody's head out there that are like, you know what, I got a word from God, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And you know, you might say, okay, well then, you know, let's talk about it or whatever. And then it might be a word from them
Yeah.
that they give because it was in their heart. God placed in
Correct.
their heart, but it goes right along with things that are with the vision and
No,
stuff.
amen. And vision inspires vision. That's the other thing you start to realize.
Mhm.
And we talked about that authentic thing and also the energy piece. That energy has to be passion that's related to vision. That's what that is. And when we're connected to vision and God sort of empowers us, we become the kind of people that stir other people up.
Mhm.
We're like, people get excited because it's like, really? You're doing this because of that? And you're excited about that? And it's not just you're hiding in the back, you know, at a camera. No, I see a vision behind this silly thing.
Yeah.
And whether they want to do what you do or not, they at least respond to the energy associated with it.
Right.
It's like, wow, you're excited about your church. That's unusual for 20-year-olds.
Right.
True.
Right.
No, think about it. How many 20-somethings are like, I'm excited about my church? Yeah, they'd laugh. They'd say, yeah, blah, blah. We're supposed to be doing something else at this age, not being excited about our church.
Well, I think that's
So it's a blessing that's like profound. I mean, it's like, really?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that will draw other young people to say, really? You can be excited about your church? You mean you can think it's cool?
Yeah.
You can think it's relevant?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
But see, that's the importance of their energy again, because
Absolutely.
it goes off on other people. So
Mhm.
then even the older people become
They get more
empowered.
excited.
Yeah, more excited and kind of like say, okay, they're doing this, you know, I used to do that, or maybe I can think about doing this, or, you know, whatever. So it kind of rekindles
It does.
other people's desire to serve God.
It does.
Whether
Thank
it's
you for sharing that.
whether it's just in the prayer portion or it's in the serving portion or whatever.
And it's part of the process. At first, they're going to push on you. They're going to be like, "What are you doing that for? We've been doing this for 20 years, right?" They're going to do that to you, young people. It's going to happen. but press through it and just say, no, if God's telling me to do it, it's gonna have a good result.
Absolutely.
And even the
Absolutely.
old people are gonna figure it out, right?
Yeah.
So be confident that if it's God and you press forward, the older people will figure it out. They'll be like, no, there's fruit coming out of this
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
right?
People can't look at our church and not see fruit coming from the younger people. And, you know, and from us older people,
Yeah.
you can't look and see that there's no fruit coming from us.
What they may be frustrated about, and this is the other place we gotta help them, is it didn't happen for them. Always remember that because people have been here for a long period of time, they may see this new stuff and wish it happened earlier.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, I think of certain people and it's like, why didn't my kid get to experience this revival thing that's happening? How come it's happening now and not then? I can't explain that, right?
Yeah, it was God's
I can't
timing.
explain it.
Yeah,
It's just
they
where
gotta be
we
okay with
are,
it.
and I'm not gonna apologize for
Right.
it, because God knows, right? But
Mhm.
you can still participate in it.
Right,
Right.
right.
So that's good stuff. I'm
Still exciting.
encouraged. Go ahead.
And I like to listen to Joyce Meyer. One of the things she just was talking about one time was some of the people in her ministry came to her and said, "We need to start videotaping your conferences."
Yeah.
And she didn't see
No.
the why behind it, but they started to do that, and you know the hunger for DVDs or
Mhm.
online videos was there, and they had this package stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, here's this teaching, but here's that conference and that conference, and their ministry exploded.
Absolutely.
So you know, if there's any doubt about
I know.
whether we should be walking down this path,
Mhm.
you know, that's an example of it.
That's
Yeah.
a great example.
Yes, it is. It
Well,
is.
but the other part of that I see, it's like Lauren Daigle and other people. They prepared before the wave hit.
Right.
She wrote these songs back in 2014, 13, 2011, and they're now off the charts. I mean, it's one of those things, when God has you in that place where he's
Yeah.
like, just be faithful.
Yeah.
I
Just
believe some
wait.
of the things I've preached are gonna come back because
Mhm.
I've prepared them and they're put together and they're canned at some level and they're just sitting on a shelf. And I can say, well, that's history, but you don't know what God's gonna do going forward.
Exactly.
Right.
It may
Exactly.
be just to your point. Somebody says, well, let's get that on video somehow. Now that we got a camera and you already have the teaching, why don't you just re-talk about that? You know, and that thing goes crazy.
Right.
Yeah,
So you're spot on. That's exactly
Yes.
often how God works.
yeah.
So, good. What's the next one?
Easter.
We were talking about vision there. Which one do you want to do next? Easter? Do we have enough to talk about on Easter?
Just got the helicopter.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
already
Yeah, did you get that?
reserved it and
Did you
rented
get that
it.
taken care of?
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
I
okay.
think
Good.
we should definitely talk about the Good Friday that
Yeah.
you guys want to do.
Yeah.
It was the one idea he's got to talk about it.
Heck yeah, it was.
He's gonna be playing up there.
Les Marvel excited about it. So.
I just think it'd be.
Yeah,
I just think it'd be awesome to just have have Palm Sunday, like exciting. I think we're doing the ballet, like that whole week. I just think will be awesome. So
Yeah.
we'll have Palm Sunday, and then Good Friday. I don't think we've ever done much, so I think it'd be awesome to like the worship team put together like 6 or 7 songs, and
Yeah.
really just like hammer them down, and then we just come in and as a church and we invite people on a Friday night to just come worship where like no one
I
has
think that
like
sounds
any
great.
like kind of responsibility besides you guys, unfortunately. But
So we
This
have
will be
Palm
worship.
Sunday.
My question is, how many people do we think we would see show up?
I think for something like that, a good amount. I mean, obviously, I try to look to the clouds. Like, I want a bunch of people to show up because, like, if a local church of mine was having like a worship night on Friday night,
On
I think
Good
that'd
Friday.
be awesome.
Yeah.
So
I feel like we need to promote it.
Yeah.
All,
You
do?
all the time
The whole
we've had
package.
worship nights with Jeff and Tia and some of the other bands that we've had do those.
Right back.
We announce it once or twice on a Sunday.
right,
Maybe we'll put it on Facebook, but I mean, we don't really, and then 5 people show up.
right. Well, that's the
I
nice
think
thing.
we package this whole thing as a
That's-
full package.
Yeah.
Here's what's coming up. We got boom, 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 and just saturate, social media and everything with promotion to try to get as many people to come. And I think it could potentially
Be
have
awesome.
the have the potential of being a huge.
And I think it would flow
Yeah.
into Easter as well,
Right,
which
yeah.
is really
Mhm.
exciting. Because then if you guys just do, like, they could just make one giant set that they could do Friday and Sunday. So it's like, then it would just be like beautiful.
Yeah.
So I think I agree with the whole packaging
Yeah.
together.
I do too. And I think that, Easter and Christmas, people look at those as the biggest holidays, and I think that, well, the churches do, I guess I should say, but I think that we have to make them something special.
Yeah.
That we kind of have to. There's no question about it. And in the past, we've done, let's think about Easter, da 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 da. But it's just one piece of it.
Right.
Are we still thinking about the sunrise service? I think Mike was still thinking about it.
If Mike is able to do it, I
Yeah.
think that's another element to it that would
Yeah.
be great.
That's
Just
what I'm
one more
thinking
piece
too.
to add to it to make it a full, really neat package.
Yeah.
For Easter.
Yeah.
He's willing to do it, yeah, absolutely.
I think he still is because we were talking about it and he talked to me about it some. So I'm thinking and he's trying to think about a good time. We're talking about
Was
the
that
sunrise service.
Yeah.
And it just goes right along with the packet of stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
actually hope that we can do all three of them.
Yeah. So
I
it
think
it
it
would
makes
be
a
it would
nice-
be Good Friday, the sunrise service, and Easter. Is that what we're saying?
Well, Palm Sunday.
Palm Sunday
Good
That's where it would
Friday,
start.
Good
Oh,
Friday,
okay.
and Easter, so actually
and then
4.
Easter. And then sunrise is on what day?
The Sunday of
Make that
Easter.
one Sunday
It's the
morning.
Oh,
Sunday
that's
of
right.
Easter.
Yeah. So there are 4. I like it.
Yeah, it sounded like basically instead of doing a Bible study for that day,
Yep.
they were going to do that and invite more people to it.
Yeah,
I
I
like
think you're right.
He said they're going to make breakfast before the
Yeah.
actual Sunday service together and come to it. So
Yeah.
I love it. And they sang, that whole group, I mean, that's like 112 people, by the way. I mean, they sounded excited about supporting that whole thing.
yeah,
So I think they'll come, and whoever else wants to come,
Yeah.
more traditional feeling people.
And that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we do like a light, like we kind of combine it with our Easter
Agreed.
service, like a sunrise service at this time, also Easter service, like kind of later.
I'm absolutely good with that.
Yeah.
Do we think that it would be, I mean, I don't know typically kind of what the weather is like, cause wasn't he talking about basically doing it outside? wasn't
He was saying he might,
If it's nice, yeah.
to see the sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's gonna be warm enough, I don't know.
Cause I would, depending on if we have a general thought of what the weather might be, it might be cool to do kinda like we did on Sozo Saturday and get a tent
Mm-hmm.
and
She could.
set our sunrise service right out there
Uh-huh.
on that side over there by the grass. Get a decent sound system or, whatever, so that
give
we
them
don't have enough stuff set out so that people can come, they go over to the sunrise service, they watch the sunrise, I don't know where the sunrise is around here, but which side it is,
Here?
is it over there? Go this way.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Somewhere over there.
I got a compass in my car, I'll look.
But then they basically, maybe even have like a
Our
little
neighbors.
breakfast. Could they even have like a little breakfast set up out there, and then after that's done, they just go from there, come right into church.
I mean, I actually like that idea. I mean, I don't,
Right here on our campus, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have heaters for outdoors too, so it's not like you couldn't get one of those heaters and put it out there. The only thing I'm thinking is sunrise for the neighbors kind
yeah,
of thing, which, I'm willing to, be forgiven.
It's
I mean,
I was
I
gonna
don't
say it's
Like,
just
I'm not gonna
one.
tell ya.
It's
Well,
one
yeah.
Sunday, and it's gonna be what, a couple hours at the most, maybe an hour.
and I don't
Oh, I'm
think
sure
it's-
it's an hour.
And
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be something that it's gonna be so many people that we're gonna have some booming sound system.
Good point.
I mean, you might not even need a sound system.
Yeah, I
depending
think
on
that's
how many
what
people show up.
I think that's what
mean,
Mike was thinking.
It might just be
Yeah.
enough people, like, if it's the size of that tent that we had,
Yeah.
I mean, if I was standing on one side of the tent, I could easily talk to somebody at the other end and they
Yeah,
could hear me
yeah.
with no problem.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, so I mean, you
No, that's a
might
good
not even
point.
need something big and loud that's gonna wake up the neighbors, but,
Yeah.
they might have something, but not
Yeah, there might
something
be a
that's
song or
majorly-
two.
Yeah,
you
not
know.
something that's gonna majorly disturb them and
Yeah.
they wake up to some blaring
God wants you saved in the name of right.
That's
Yes.
what we're not gonna do.
Wake up! Right.
We're gonna make a bumper stand on the side of the road and yell at people.
We'll do reveille at sunrise, and then we'll.
The end is coming.
It's here.
We'll go get that guy who hangs at the corner over there with his big megaphone.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
completely freezing outside.
I saw a
and then
video from
maybe
the
at that point you
apartments
just move
here.
it into the
They
activity
were,
center.
they
That's
had a
probably
video
fair.
or
I
they
don't
had
get to
one
see
of
sunrise,
his
but-
voice. They
I like
could
the
hear
tent
him
idea, but maybe
on
you could do
field
it.
of
Go
view.
out.
That's from the apartments.
Yeah, let's talk to Mike about that. I like the tent idea.
I do too.
And I like the option of, look, if it's nice weather, let's go out there and have it, but if not, let's do it in the sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened.
I will
Great
say
thought.
I will not be there. I'm
I
just
know
saying
you,
right now.
look, really?
I will
Wow,
not.
I thought you
Maybe
would.
one day you'll love Jesus, but.
I will not. I'm gonna love him at 9:30, not 6
No, he's
a.m.
already, he's out on the
I
road
think
by
it
that
comes
time.
on. I think it comes up at like 7:30 or something.
That's what
Sun
Mike
comes
was
up.
saying, like
Oh,
7.
Yeah, because I'm just
6:50
thinking about,
something.
I mean, you don't.
you know, sitting on my deck and
I'll
watching.
be
I'm
there.
thinking it. I think it's like
Cool.
7:30 now.
I look.
You get it, dude. Jesus loves you more.
Yeah.
Yeah, the earlier you are, the more you love it.
On that day, yeah, it's what, the
Yeah.
23rd?
I'm okay with
Alright.
being here at
Yeah.
9:30.
I will be sound asleep.
I don't know.
You miss it.
23rd.
21st?
The trumpet will sound.
No, 23rd, Dan said.
23rd? Oh.
Is it
You missed the
23rd?
trumpet.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
left
It might be
behind,
23rd.
sorry.
Can we get-
Right?
Can we get a real live rooster?
No.
You
You can probably ask Nancy.
Yeah, Nancy.
I
She's the
could.
one that grew up on a
6:50.
farm.
I could track out. I could track one
6:52
down.
We
a.m.
can probably get one.
Yeah.
6:52.
I'll be
So
asleep.
it's almost 7 o'clock.
Yeah, the rooster on a leash.
Yeah, we just got done talking about not wanting to disturb the neighbors, that's.
Right, never gonna disturb the neighbors. Well, we don't want them to sleep through it, I mean,
Yeah.
but that one lady that
Think
came
about
over
what
for
they miss.
Sozo Saturday was like right across the,
Yeah.
with her kids.
Think about
So
what
who
they would
knows?
miss if we didn't wake them up that early.
We'll
Just
probably
tell
have like
Jesus is
a record
coming.
attendance of people on time next
I
Sunday.
bet you, it's just like, at least I didn't have, right?
No, like maybe I'll just do a whole invite card of everything.
No, I think,
And
yeah.
that we just start promoting like second to last week of March, and just like nail it in people's heads. But then on Sunday morning we'll have we'll have a Palm Sunday handout card,
Mhm.
and then we'll have Easter Sunday handout card, and Good Friday. All we have to do is just invite people to that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of just having a list of all the events we have
Mhm.
going on.
No, good,
Or we can
I
send
love
it out.
I love the, Friday night thing.
I think it's gonna be awesome.
When is Easter?
The 21st
Of
April.
It's on the calendar, we gotta get that on the virtual calendar too. Take all those dates and at least put them up somewhere so we can.
oh, that
Like the
calendar.
24th.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, so like, what are you looking at?
Right, April 14th?
April 21st.
Oh, was that the Easter one?
21st, yeah.
Oh, the other one is Good Friday, okay. So the 14th.
Okay,
Or,
so we
Palm
wanna-
Sunday then. So the
yeah.
14th and the
Good.
24th.
We got time.
We could plan to do it.
Yeah, we have. So, and that's what I was thinking last night. Do we just make the
Fascinating.
worship almost the highlight of the service? Like I know,
Which
I don't know if churches like do like skits anymore, or like stuff
They
like.
do,
I think
but
they do, but I don't think they make it as
Are you
big
talking about the
production.
actual Easter?
I'm talking about the
service?
service. Yeah,
Mhm.
I was thinking the other night, like maybe the highlight is just like a killer worship
could be.
like set.
Mhm.
That's
Could
just
be.
like very like touching, and then obviously your message will dive into Eastern
What was
importance
the,
of
what was
it.
the theme again that you said?
The power to
Power to
redeem.
redeem.
I always
Power to redeem.
enjoy when I go to service in the end.
It would be
with the worship
nice
song.
Yeah.
It's
For
so
us to maybe have one or two,
lit.
interview testimony style videos
Okay,
where if we know of anybody in the church that has a good testimony around the power to redeem kind of a thing, and we do a really nice, kind of emotionally stirring kind of a video to capture their testimony, and that plays in as part of the teaching, and then we have the worship piece that becomes a really big element of the service.
Yep.
I think that could be
Mhm.
pretty.
I think that would be
pretty
great.
good.
Yeah.
yeah.
That might be a good like add on to that to make it that much more special. Then we
Mhm.
wouldn't have to really do much. And then I think we should have like either food or like a food truck would be sick after service.
On Easter?
something.
I mean, it's different.
Fine.
I'm not against it. But
we could do, taco.
is it, you thinking popsicle or?
We could do that sketchy taco
We could do a
truck.
taco truck. Yeah.
Oh, good lord.
No,
I'll
we're
tell
on
you
a
what,
list
taco
of
bus.
churches.
I
that
like
want
that
tacos.
taco
Oh,
truck.
it was good,
But
but
it's
they
sketchy.
got mad.
Nothing.
Yeah, I would.
Oh, yeah,
I wouldn't
because-
invite
They
them
weren't
again.
enough business and they just
Like,
drove off.
they'll be like, hello. This
Well, that's
is
because
so-so
everyone wanted
blank.
burgers.
Huh?
That's because everyone wanted burgers.
Yeah.
But think about what kind of food people are gonna eat on Easter.
I know.
I told Logan, I said, nothing says Easter to me like a good taco.
Like a taco.
Just you, man.
But I like what you said around the videos of the redemptive work of God somewhere. I connect that to either an ROI or someone that's been impacted by that redemptive power. You know? So think about who
Yeah, I mean, we'd
might
somewhat,
be good to interview and have him sort of put them on the list of people.
we'd
I mean,
somewhat-
whether it's somebody that was impacted by the baptism or,
I mean,
who
someone,
knows?
I think someone internally would be probably the best.
I agree, but you know, we've done baptisms, I mean, there's been ROI over the years. I mean, people's lives have been changed, and that's really what you're trying to get at. What lives have been changed, how have we touched people?
Well, let's think about the people in the church whose lives, like,
No, that's what I'm.
yeah, I'm
No,
trying to,
we'd have to make a list, and I'm
Yeah.
not saying we figure it out now,
yeah, I'm
but,
just trying to
but
think
there
of,
should be some connection to, oh, I didn't know that about so-and-so, I didn't realize it was that big of an impact.
I mean, one of the things that kind of comes to my mind, it was just from talking to him during the baptism, was Carl.
Okay?
When I'm talking to him in the back there before actually after he got baptized, I mean, he seemed to have a pretty good testimony
Okay.
and kind of has that energy behind
I get that.
where he is now. So I mean, he might be one.
That's,
if he's
I mean, I'm
willing
fine
to do
with
it.
it. They'd be excited because they're new, and they'd be like, wow, you wanna hear my story? Oh, that's interesting.
Cat would be really cool.
Who?
who?
Because Cat would talk about the
She
family
talked about the
piece.
family piece,
I think
there's two.
That'd be huge.
Who else? And I'm good if it's mostly
I-
new young
I think-
people.
I think Kayla, because we could get a perspective of her.
Kayla.
Wade, she got baptized this past Sunday, and I think we could give
I
a
love it.
testimony of someone who used to come here and also is like kind of resurfacing, and
Yeah.
she's had like her own struggles and
Mhm.
continues to. I think it should
It'd
be
be
Great.
You know
If
who
we
else?
if we got like
I love
2
that.
to 3 of them,
Yeah.
and we were able to record them in enough time, Steve, that you could kind of see them
Mm-hmm.
before, as you're getting ready to package your message,
Uh-huh.
and almost do a thing where we play them. This is just, I'm just brainstorming.
Yeah, no,
This-
good.
But play them as kind of intermittent throughout your message. So maybe,
Yeah.
you know, depending on what their stories are, maybe you have sections in your teaching around kind of that, and then you play that, teach about it, play the next one, teach about it, you know, and so it kind of
I like that.
is a
Mhm.
full teaching / video element piece, and it all ties in together.
Yeah. You know, another person is, I don't know what her name is. I'm gonna call her Joanne Lee, but that's not her name. But
Huh?
Joanne.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
It is.
seeing
You-
the
You said
different,
her name.
No, she's saying her last name.
Oh.
Yeah,
oh,
I don't know what her-
Morton.
yeah,
Yeah.
because she's changed a lot.
Yeah.
She has.
And just hearing her say things that, you know, I'm gonna make my kids come to church, I'm gonna, you know, and making it a point to bring his children to church,
Yeah.
even though, you know, she has to deal with like baby mamas and all the drama, she doesn't let it deter her. But
No, she's,
Yeah, she's
but
all
you know
there.
what,
She's
looking
really cool.
back, you know, that's not the Joanne from, you know what I
I'll get
mean?
back to it.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree. She is come
Sometimes I just try to get
very
it in
far.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And
she's
then I'll work on
awesome.
it.
She's
Yeah.
really awesome.
Yeah.
Power T redeem.
No, don't worry about it.
T
I just don't know how this works.
Power T.
The point is to get it in there.
It's okay. John can't spell either. Isn't
I
that
can
right?
spell.
Hey, I've never.
So we had Joanne.
Fair enough.
I'm proud of it.
Hey, you know what? It doesn't
Okay,
matter.
yeah.
As long as he gets the idea and he can go in and
No, yeah, that's the
clean it
point.
up later.
Yeah.
That's the whole point
It's just
of
to
it.
get the thought
Don't lose that.
for those of us who use it.
Fair
Yes.
enough.
Dog. So it's Joanne, Caitlin,
Kayla?
Kayla.
It's Caitlin.
Yeah,
that.
You
I
spelled
don't-
it, you spelled it
I
right.
know how to spell
No, it's cat.
it. No, I know. Don't.
No, like
This is like when I have meetings
you
with
said
people,
Caitlin,
and
but
then you
it's
put
Caitlin.
anything on a screen, it's like, oh, you missed a T
no,
over there.
No, you said it. No,
No.
I'm talking about what you said. You
No,
said
you have the
Caitlin,
T,
but
it's
it's
not
not.
the O. You have the T
It's
here
not-
It's
specifically.
okay. It'll be all right.
It's not actually Caitlin.
So who else is on the list?
Carl.
Mention possibly.
Carl.
Carl. Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Anybody else? Is that all you need is 4?
Oh, I think that that would be
Perfect.
more than enough. We've kind of struggled getting.
Well, you could just do the
More than
4
that.
and then decide what, and just tell them when you do it, you know, we're just kinda playing with this. We don't know yet what's gonna be used,
Mhm.
but, and maybe you just throw one of them, whichever ones aren't used before the service or
Yeah.
something like that, you know?
Yeah. Oh, this
then
brings
we'll-
up some,
And then
what we
we'll
were talking about last
we'll
night.
record all 4 of them, and then the ones that we don't play, we'll just be like, sorry, your story's not powerful.
Right.
You didn't make it powerful.
Sorry, guys.
We didn't
Gotta
really,
go.
you know,
We send them an
the
email.
Holy Spirit didn't speak to us in your story, so.
regret to inform you that your video is not going to
You
be
did not.
It's declined.
worst email ever.
We have,
And then
Clip, clip,
suicide
we
comes
made
after that. Thank you. We were trying to
moved
save
on to
people's
other-
lives, not end them.
Right?
Right?
Other candidates. Like a college.
Didn't make the cut, clip,
There's
clip.
something to add to the agenda.
Huh?
Communion.
What agenda? This
That-
one?
That one.
No, we're done, dude.
You go right
Check
there.
the time.
I've got bad handwriting, you don't wanna see
I
that.
have bad handwriting.
I'm worse. I don't know how to do like the sizes properly. Like I'll write way too small or like way too big,
That's fine.
and you won't be able to tell where my letters are.
In other words, he won't do it.
That's pretty good.
You could do it.
What do you need from me?
To
Right,
write on the post.
communion and offering.
What?
Communion
In
and
the
offering.
agenda.
Oh,
Communism and all.
Communism.
communism and offering.
speaking of
Why?
mention for communion,
Why?
do you think on Easter Sunday
Why?
that communion would be something that we would do or no?
No.
Wasn't
That's a
asking
lot.
you. I wasn't asking you.
I
just-
think that we
you-
could
you
do
don't ever wanna do
communion.
stuff that's spiritual, Logan.
That's
I,
not true.
I
He
think,
is that way.
I think
That's not
communion
true.
can be done with the sunrise service.
He's
Oh,
so
that's good.
superficial.
I think that would be a good,
What?
For
communion
Sunday
with
the
sunrise
sunrise
service.
service possibly
What?
doing communion.
Yeah.
If they do it there.
Yeah.
That's it. That's an R. It's just touching the eye. See, this is why I don't write it.
There you
Oh, that
go.
looks-
See, everybody tries to micromanage it,
Yeah,
man.
it
It's like,
doesn't
you
matter.
do
It's
it.
fine.
Yeah, we can read it, it's fine.
It's like,
Your R's are
Do it.
right.
I won't bully, just don't make me bully.
Right.
That's my thing. Well, I will bully you though, like you miss the O. And
it's all right. Okay, so we're talking about the tent.
I'll talk to Mike about it,
Yeah.
because he had talked to me about, times and
Dude,
what
we
do I
get
think
it,
about
he's
certain
insane.
things.
Is that what he's doing?
All you got are those guys. That dude won't shut up.
Well, some of us
That's
have
actually
the,
spoken from a heart of jealousy.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%, dude.
Logan just wishes he could.
100%.
Don't tell him.
I don't know how to say
That's
that.
sensitive for him,
I'm tone deaf.
especially since his mom is always like, yeah, see?
Yeah, my mom every day. When are you gonna get up there? Well,
And why do I say that?
because you're weird.
No, it's not really.
How many times have I told you why, and you still are
No,
like,
how many times have I told you? But why do I say it?
Really? Children?
Yeah, why do I say it?
I don't know. You're
Logan
weird.
doesn't-
You know why.
I get to do it.
They're doing
Because the band doesn't have as much of a boy band feel.
That's
I
not
know.
true.
He wants to get up
That's
and
why
do
he
it.
can't get up there.
I don't even know how to dance.
I
so
can
that's
do
not
some
true.
choreography.
He's like,
He's
come on,
gotta
guys,
do
we
the
need to
boy
work-
band.
we're aggressive
I
dance stuff.
stop.
Women up here
See,
right
we got him
hard.
off balance. He's not responding, right?
she can't
You know,
put
when
her
they're
in
back on their
spots.
heels, it's
How
like
about
they don't
move
swing.
on?
That's
Move
what
on
I
got
over.
him.
Not mine.
Keep it.
That one.
Do it again. Come on.
There's no- there's no-
Meeting's over, by the way.
There's no worship songs that has a lyric, hey
You know
girl.
what, just stick it in the thing on
He
the.
can't-
Bro.
he
I
can't
need
sing.
to use it.
That was me. Mom,
What?
it's not gonna work.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's Clay. He got you on that one, man.
She's trying to move the thing
No.
so she she has enough room to put.
That's good,
That's
Thing
John.
always
in.
like,
There you go.
All right, so we done with that?
Sorry.
it's never crazy.
There's no. He got you good on that.
Dude, I'm fine. Because that's the old me. Yeah.
No, there's
Is
a,
that
there's,
what it is?
no, there's a reason why. Because
Because
when,
Because she thinks that there,
When- no,
something
when he's-
happens when I sing.
when he sings, something
Yes, it
comes
has an
over him
impact.
and
Yep.
it changes
Yes,
his
fear
count. No,
and anxiety.
fear.
Did you hear what John?
Yes, we all heard what John said, man. We get it. I was in a boy band for like 5
No, that wasn't his point.
What was your point?
I just like
was
the
good,
the
though.
beauty of how he said it.
It's mean.
It was beautiful.
This is a
I'm gonna remember. That was a good
John
one.
is a bully. You're a bully.
Oh, jeez. Okay, I'm having too much fun.
Maybe you're just
All right, so moving right along. Being mature.
This is you, bro.
Being mature. Hey, I get to have fun every week, every so often.
I don't. You're not allowed.
Sometimes in the middle of the day.
Okay, what else?
Lynn and I were kind of having a conversation about communion, the way we do communion and offering. And we thought it might not be a bad idea to change a few things,
Huh?
or freshen it up.
Again?
What do you mean again?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't know, I
Just
think
tell
we
us what it
should
is.
stay
A helicopter?
same, exact same way. All the,
Oh, well.
Are we gonna have a
No more
helicopter to do, to
Yes,
drop off the
we are gonna
communion
be doing
elements?
a helicopter. On that
It's like,
field. Dude, that is the
On that field, and then
best-
everybody comes over here.
best marketing strategy. Who agreed with me the other day that it was an amazing marketing?
The helicopter?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good
It is
idea.
genius. You
No,
know
but
how
we're
many
gonna do it
people
for
come to that?
communion now.
You know how many
So the
That would be
communion
awesome.
elements, we drop them all in the
dropped
field.
We dropped
eggs
the
from-
bread.
No, that could be a drone
Cool.
ride.
Yeah,
And
it
if
could
you
be.
get it before the birds eat it,
Right. Yeah.
and then just pour some grape juice out,
It'd be like a lemon drop.
that'd be cool.
So Lana and I were talking yesterday. You can talk about offering because you
He's
had
throwing you under the bus.
no, I'll talk about communion. I think you should talk about offering because it had a cool feel, like
Yeah,
the way
cool
you said
feel.
it. But I think that we should no longer
No, I don't
walk
agree.
up to the front to do communion, just because I think transition wise and flow wise and like the overall feel of it, it always just feels awkward. And like no matter how much like music you play or a video you play, like it's always just like awkward and people slowly get out of their seats and walk up to the front and then you have like 10 minutes of like
Okay.
what?
He's like,
No,
You like that?
you gotta risk.
No, I get that.
You
And
gotta
you
risk.
gotta
I
put
just
yourself
I feel
out
like
there.
it's I feel like it's
Can
not
you risk
working.
a different way?
Huh?
I said, could you risk a different way?
Yeah, and I think like
Yeah, so
I mean, I don't
So
know.
what's your other way?
The little
I think the Sunday that we did Easter, it was last Easter where Mike had us all stand up. We were all obviously together, but we there wasn't an awkward like phase of people walking to the front and awkward silence and all that stuff. And I feel like we've done it for a very long time. So I feel like we have kind of risked that, and it's been what it has been for a very long time.
Because we use the combo.
Yeah, I think we could. I mean, we already have a bunch of them. Mike could still get up. He kind of intros us in. We're all together as a family. We're all standing as a family, but it's more of like an organic and natural instead of like, come on, get out of your seat, like pulling people up. Like obviously, we don't force people to get up, but it just feels like a very stagnant like
So
process.
Maybe it's just because it's been done that way so long.
And that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah,
is
that's
it feels
probably
it feels
it.
like a routine where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, now we have to get up and I think freshening it up and kind of making it more lively because it is a powerful thing, and I don't
Mhm.
think it should just be like this mundane like
Yeah.
communion
yeah,
piece that
because you get in a routine and then it
Exactly.
loses the
And
loses
he
the
brought up a
sanctity of it.
He brought up a good point that the reason we started doing it that way is because there was disconnect
Yeah, we were
in
trying
the
to-
old way.
Mhm.
But I feel like the place we are at now is so much different to
Yeah.
than
Mhm.
when we switch to what we do now. I think we are a family and we are a church and we
Yeah.
have unity. I think if we stand in unity and we take communion in unity, then I think it's all there. But that's kind of my thought on that. And then he had a good thought on offering.
Wait, are you saying, sorry, like pass them out as people come in?
Yeah, either
That's what I
that
was
or
thinking.
we already have them in their seats. That's something
Oh.
so simple that we could just sit under
Oh,
those
yeah,
seats.
That's
it's
interesting.
communion.
That is.
But I
Well,
think
we
As long
did
as
it
people don't
once
sit
with
down.
the combination.
yeah, yeah. That's what we did that Easter
Yeah.
Sunday. Is as people were walking in, we would just
Yeah, we
hand
just
them
hand
a
Yeah.
ritual. And especially
Yeah.
if people know First Sunday, I think the church
Yeah.
pretty much knows. They'll come in expecting something. If we-
Right.
So would you use those things again?
Yes,
Combination
100%.
Yeah.
wafer thing?
I
It
think
makes
that's
so
a
much
good idea.
sense. It's all in one. I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Generally, okay, so how would that, so we give it to them first?
And then here's the other thing: we don't have to worry about, oh well, are we gonna have people bring up their offering as they're coming up to? And then it's like this awkward of like piano, like somber music, as people are bringing their offering and putting it in the basket, and then reverting to like going to get their communion, and
Yeah.
it's just
Okay.
it's becoming like a mess. Where I think the first few times it kind of worked,
Okay.
but now it's becoming a little
We're packing too much into it?
right. And then doing announcements as well.
I get that.
It's
Yeah.
just
Too
way
much.
too much.
Yeah.
Like just have Mike come up at the end of announcements and maybe at the end of offering, and then he comes up. We all stand together. We all take communion together.
Yep,
And then you kind of come up and intro it out, and then head into your message.
I'm fine
Or
with
we do a
that.
transition
That
video.
sounds good.
I mean, I like a change too. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not hung up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's still important, which is good spiritually. It's an
100%.
important thing
And
for
that's
us.
and that's the
Yeah.
thing. I want to make it to where it's not mundane and it's
Right.
not a routine.
A routine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I said risk, and risk is at the appropriate time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Easter is when you got a lot more people coming in, and you don't want to alienate people, but by the service is good, except they made us greet each other in the beginning. I felt really uncomfortable with that, and
Yeah.
I'm not coming back.
No, fair point.
Yeah.
So
So you wanna make it as not invasive as possible.
right, you
That
got to
week.
nurture them a little bit.
I get
you know,
that, man. That's
get us
actually a
agreement
really good
and
point.
then risk.
And that was the other thought is like, and that ties into offering is like
I want to see us move away from having the baskets at the front steps and having people walk up.
Okay.
I've noticed, like, if you keep a close eye out, there's a lot of people that wait for a specific moment where they don't think anyone's looking and they walk over and slip an envelope in really quick, and they don't do it when people step up.
or they do it
Really?
after service.
Or they do it after service, they go up to the box and do it.
Interesting.
And there's a couple people, I'm not gonna mention names, but there's a couple people that show up.
Ooh.
But there's,
Yeah, don't
yeah, yeah, I
I'm
mean,
gonna make you,
There's- there's-
get in trouble.
there's a couple people that it's like, it's offering time, like I'm gonna strut up there and show them that I'm giving something. And I mean, I don't think that's a good way to go about it. What I would say, what I would like to see us start to move toward doing
Yeah.
is taking offerings at the front desk, at the booth, or as people are walking out, have the basket to be able to collect it. If people are interested in giving, you can drop it in the basket on the way out.
Because going to what he said, it's a very personal.
Because it
It's
is very
becoming
personal.
more and more of a personal
It
thing.
is.
That's
Yeah.
what
Maybe
I
not
feel.
on the way out. Like, did you mean it's like
People don't wanna make it a show
we have to do
anymore.
our
Right,
service
and
and
A
then
lot of
offer
people,
basket?
some people are still
Potentially.
in the tradition
So,
of,
like,
look,
that's
I wanna
for the
openly
people that rather
give
just
to
kind of
God.
Yeah.
keep to themselves.
And I get that, but like
Yeah.
you were saying with
And that's
the
what
invasive
I was
piece,
saying.
I feel like for like
front desk,
new
that was my-
people or
Yeah.
even just like
I agree
regular
with that.
attenders
I like
feeling
the front
like you
desk a
have to
lot.
get up to
I
like
don't know if the
walk
people
up in
use
front
Fair.
of the church.
That's a
It's
good
just
point.
like
It's
a,
just, I think
it's
the
like it's a
basket
very
is
between
still
you
in
and
front of
God
people
thing.
in
Yeah.
place.
But the
And
other,
it is transitional for us. We're moving from the, everybody got up and gave the, or they shoved the basket in your face and dared you not to put something in.
Yeah.
We're transitioning from that into more of a, the current culture is that, hey man, it's between me and God.
Yeah.
but we have online giving now too, so there are many people who give, there are people who give
Online.
who don't go up at all, so
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
what does that say? Or, is that something that they're not getting to participate in? I mean, it might encourage others to give
Yeah.
online.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, that's.
Because they're not having to go up. They may feel like an obligation to go up and, physically put their check in the basket.
Yeah, we just gotta decide. I mean, if we say to ourselves, people, hey, look, we're not here to watch you give unnecessarily. If you wanna give, that's between you and God, and therefore
Do you
go
think
do
it would
that.
be still kind of invasive or showy or whatever if rather than having them come up front and that's everybody is sitting there watching people come up front,
Right.
if we did the meet and greet after we do the offering thing and then we say we're going to release for meet and greet, and during meet and greet if you have an offering you can just drop it in the basket in the back of the sanctuary, then everybody is kind of up mingling, and so
Yeah.
it's not a
Yeah.
thing if
It's
you're
not so-
focusing on that person walking and who didn't get up and walk.
That's
Yeah.
an idea.
Everybody
Yeah.
just kind of
That's a
up
good
moving
thought.
around,
I
and then
think
the baskets
that's-
are just sitting in the
yeah.
back. If
Yeah.
you have some, just drop it in there, and then you could go and talk. And
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's
That plan.
still.
I'd say also we just make mention of the fact that on top of that, that we keep, I say we keep some person that's at the front desk that has a collection basket, and then at the
Or
end of the
just-
day, we get that
Or
from
just let
them.
people know about the box. I mean, I see so
Yeah.
many people
Or-
use
yeah,
that.
or-
It's
Yeah.
so small
Yeah.
though.
I think
mean,
we do
we
have
would
to.
need to put something different.
Well, yeah, we had talked about a different
Getting
offering
different
thing,
thing,
right?
yeah.
And I think that's a
Yeah.
good idea.
And just have
Yeah.
a
And
station
it
in
could
the
be,
hallway.
well, it could be two. I
Yeah.
mean, it could be a couple of stations.
It
Yeah.
doesn't even
I
be-
like giving them somewhere else to give.
Right.
I like casting vision as to why we're doing it. We always gotta remember, let's explain it, because some people will be offended
Right.
if we don't say, look, we're just allowing people not to do it in front of each other.
Give
Right.
people
We're-
freedom.
Right, and just, if you want to, it's still gonna be available for you.
Yeah.
And that's the tricky part, because some people want to get up and bring it to the altar.
Yeah.
And that's what they do, and they hold hands and they're like, we're doing this together,
Mhm.
it's open, it's our way of worshiping God. So it's difficult to maintain both,
Yeah.
but I'm good with having stations in the back or in the hallway, and then telling people, look,
Yeah.
I also,
we know people give differently, so
Yeah.
if you don't wanna get up, don't feel compelled to, don't feel guilt, we don't want you to be on the spot, but for some people, this is the way they wanna do it, so we want those people to be able to do
I
it.
feel
If
like-
you're not, then you can give it
I
another
feel
way.
like from the people that I've seen get up and walk would be totally fine with.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like at this point for them it's almost routine, and if we were to introduce
Yeah.
something, I think it would.
You receive.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be like, oh, that's fine with me. Like, obviously, either way, they're still giving, and it's between them and God.
If you
if
have
you
to,
think-
if you have to walk to the front of the stage where everyone is watching you do it,
To give
you're
offering.
not
Well,
doing it for
But remember,
You're,
there's two,
yeah,
there's
you have to
two
be real
cultures.
careful
There's
with
two
them.
cultures though, there's
Yeah.
a culture that says, no, I want to.
Mhm.
I want to do it before men and God.
Mhm.
And so if you remove that, or you take the spiritual importance in that away, that doesn't make me happy. So, and I can see them in my mind's eye as to who they are, and you'd
Yeah.
be surprised, there's a couple of young ones that wanna do it
Mhm.
because of their children.
Mhm.
So, again, we just gotta find that balance
Mhm.
where they actually get that need met.
Yeah, it's like a symbol. It's a personal symbol to
Right.
some people to be laying
Yeah.
it at the altar.
Well, I mean-
and I get, and that's where I was like,
But-
kind of like, iffy
But
about it.
I know.
I do mine online all the
Right.
time.
No, we
It's-
can,
But
we
just
can
because
talk
it's
about it.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
we still have them at the front and just do it to where we release for meet and greet. That way, there's just a whole crowd of people, and people who want to bring it to the altar will, but there's music playing, people are talking. It's less like,
Yeah.
It's less formal.
it's less awkward. We're just watching someone walk up there while video's playing, and like,
Yeah.
Yeah, since everybody's not doing it, then
exactly.
yeah, it's
If
kinda
ever,
weird.
if we were
I think
all,
It's
I
middle
think
of the
that's
road.
yeah.
I get
think
that.
that's
I
I think if
agree
we
with you.
allow different, like, hey, there's
Yeah.
some at the front, there's some at the back,
Yeah.
online, there's some in the hallway.
Yeah.
Go intermission, go to the bathroom, give your offering.
Yeah.
Here's
Yeah, I
all these
think
ways.
how we present it is gonna be critical
Yes.
there.
Yes.
But I'm good with having the freedom, cause right now, we're in the middle.
Yeah.
Right.
Right now, a few people bring it up and they still, a lot of them still wanna do that.
Yeah.
But then there's people that's like, nah, I wouldn't do that in front of you guys, and
Well, then it
So you
allows
gotta
for more
balance
of like
that.
a powerful offering time. You can spend more time talking about it when you don't have to worry about like a buffer video, people walking up and then collecting it. You could spend more time.
so
really
should we
talking
get rid of
about
the video? And it should it just be
I
somebody,
think, just like John said,
somebody
if we,
just,
somebody
talk to
goes
me
up,
about it.
talks about it, and then comes down, releases for a meet and greet, and then that kind of is the transition into the
The
next.
only reason why we even do the video is because of how we do it now, so
Yeah,
it's
agreed.
not just a silent, awkward
Right.
thing.
Right.
Right,
There's at least something going on for the people who aren't going forward, so it doesn't feel all weird and, okay, we're waiting for that last person to sit down.
Right,
Now we can
before we
start,
do
you know.
anything, right.
Yeah.
no,
So
that's
if we did
fair.
it during meet and greet, yeah,
That's
we
fair.
wouldn't have a video at all, it would just be that, and then we'd close out meet and greet, and then we'd go directly from meet and greet right into the
I
message,
actually
really.
like that.
Yeah.
Or would
I
it
like
be-
that too.
No,
I actually
we
like
have
the-
to.
It'd be after,
Oh,
because you'd
You know,
always
it's a
done
good point.
announcements
That's
and
perfect.
everything, and then meet and
Mhm.
greet, and then right into the message.
I like
The
that.
only tweak I would make to it is, I would actually give the opportunity before the meet and greet to say, hey, for those of you who just wanna bring it up now. Bring it up now.
Well, no, that's the point of having them up front. They can still bring them up. It's just while people are
But that,
really.
the only pushback there is that ruins the spiritual moment of it.
It
For
does.
some people, this is a reverent thing. This is not, I break through a crowd to throw it in a basket. So just be careful that ruins the spiritual tenor of it.
Of doing it in front of people watching.
Yes, because they're used to that's what we used to do.
Well,
We,
then that's
What?
if that's the only reason, is because that's what.
it's
we
not
used
the
to do.
only reason. It's
Okay.
because it meant something when they did it.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Let me give an opinion.
But it's good. I'm glad
This
we're
is-
talking about
I'm
it.
speaking from a dad perspective.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm in the sanctuary, I'm sitting there with the kids,
Mm-hmm.
and I want
There's one.
to bring it up and put it in a
They do.
basket because those eyes are watching.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, 4 or 5 years ago, Joshua would ask to
go do
take
it.
the offering up,
Mhm.
and you know, train up a child in the way they should go. That's what I'm doing
Yeah.
by
You're
walking
showing
up
by example.
and
We
depositing
give.
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, you see that, and I can tell you, the other person that would surprise you that does that, when, they do it for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
And they hold hands, but Joanne,
Yeah.
if you ever
Yeah.
watched her, she actually wants her children, just like you, is she's patterning them with, let's go up and give the offering. So, I don't
We
know
just
the
gotta figure
answer,
it out.
yeah, but see, that's why I was saying, I would like to preserve a little bit of the spiritual moment so they could do it in a reverent manner.
Mhm.
For those of you who wanna bring it up now.
Yeah.
And then some would come up. For those of you who don't, and you wanna do it another way, praise God, you are free to do it which way that reached you, but some people actually want to do it in front of other people, in
Okay.
front of the world, in front of God. So I think there's a way to balance those two. I don't think it's minutes. I don't think I need a video for that.
Right.
I think it's a come up now.
Right.
And once they get used to that, they'll be back. Okay, now let's
So,
break
yeah.
and just have,
Yeah.
let's fellowship and other people wanna give the.
Honestly,
What?
my first gut reaction to that though is if we do it that way,
Yeah.
really nothing's gonna change.
Right.
Because
Except-
people are still conditioned
Mm-hmm.
to just come up at that point. And so if we still do it where, hey, you don't have to, you can bring it up during meet and greet, I still think you're gonna get the bulk of people bringing it up at that point.
Could
And
be.
it's not really that to them, it's just, well, this is just what I've always brought it up.
Right, right.
So then if we do that and our thought is, well, we're gonna eliminate the video because we're gonna have less people, all that's gonna wind up happening is now we don't have the video and it becomes awkward.
Yeah.
Because you have the same amount of people honestly still bringing it up, I think.
Except that I believe I could probably help them do it faster.
Yeah.
and
If you
cut
think
it
you
off.
can
I hear what you're saying,
yeah.
and we can try it. I'd say, let's just try it a couple
Yeah.
different ways, cause I hear ya. But there's a way to just, okay, so bring it up now and just cut, and I can break it, so we're not waiting for that laggard, the person that comes in at the end and just wants to do it in front of me, that kind of thing. I think we can work on that.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. And just like anything, you're trying to balance it for different groups.
Right.
So let's try a couple of things and let's noodle it and pray about it.
So, what do we think about the communion piece?
For,
Doing it, standing in our seat.
I mean, I'm fine with it. We've done it before.
Okay.
I'm actually okay with that.
Mhm.
I mean, I
Give other
think
perspectives on
that we
that.
should also get Mike's input, being that that's his kind
Truth.
of thing that he does.
I
So
mean,
think
granted,
we
we'd
could
still
get-
have him
Get
do
his
it.
thoughts around
I
it.
agree with that.
Yeah.
The only other comment that I had as far as the element piece is, I don't know if handing it out as people are coming in or putting it on their chair, because I can see visitors that aren't churched coming in and you hand them something and they're like, what is this?
What's that?
Yeah.
What am I
Yeah.
supposed to do with
Explain
this
that to
thing?
me.
You know, and if we're just handing it out, you're not explaining it as, this is for communion,
Yeah.
this is what, this is what's going to happen, you're just kind of giving it.
Well,
So
that's
I
what
feel
we
like
do.
there's gotta be some
Um,
thought around how we get those elements to people so that they know what it is and we're not just randomly handing them something that,
Yeah.
Do we have to explain how Sozo does offering and communion? To your point, if I'm gonna do it that way, I would have to tell you something or give you some kind
Well, I
of
mean, I think
instruction.
it's as easy as like whoever's handing them out being like, hey, this is for communion. We have a time of communion during our service.
Here's-
Or give
this
them
is
a
where I'm
card.
thinking.
Yeah.
My
I
kids
wouldn't
bring
do a
somebody
card.
from high school,
Yep.
never been to church,
Yeah.
and you hand them something like that. You know, even if somebody even says, "Here, this is for communion," I mean, they're gonna. It's gonna be something they're either gonna set it down somewhere, or
Well,
you know, they're not gonna be able to hold that thing
I
with them the
definitely
whole
think
time
in their
until
chairs.
communion.
I definitely
Yeah.
think you put it in
So
their
that's why I'm
chairs,
just like,
where they're already sitting down and it's.
Yeah, you're saying put it in the chairs.
Yeah.
It would just be available for them closer
I
to where
wouldn't
they
wanna-
are.
Yeah, I wouldn't wanna hand it out of the door,
Okay.
just like.
Why don't
I mean,
we
even in
could,
chairs though.
why don't we just, I'm sorry, go ahead.
For even if you put them in chairs, you have to put them ahead of time.
That's fine.
And you never know how many people are coming, and then you gotta collect all the ones that didn't get taken out of the chairs, cause,
I'll do it.
Yeah, I'll do it. Then.
Well,
you know, I think you're,
Why
you know,
don't-
I think it's gonna be a bigger hassle than what you're thinking when you actually do it a few Sundays and.
Why don't you just put containers on like 2 or 3 small containers in front, like when you're sitting down, you look down, you can see these containers. Why don't you just do those along the aisles, and then people are sitting there and say, we're gonna take communion, if you like the elements, they're right there, or whatever.
Mhm.
And that way, if people don't take them, they don't take them.
Yeah.
And then you just pick up the containers, put them in the back, you're done.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea.
Well, when we get our new chairs, we'll have a place to
Little
put them in the
pocket,
seat in
yeah.
front of the.
Yeah.
So why not?
Huh?
Nothing.
Someday.
Yeah, someday.
The broken dream.
That's right.
I'm good. So let's keep chewing on it. I do agree, Mike should understand and give feedback on the communion
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah.
The offering piece, I think we can experiment a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Let's try it a couple different ways. I don't think it'll be as huge impact.
One other thing on the offering, so
Yeah.
what happens after they take the offering and the ushers come and get it, what do they do with it?
They take it in the
Put it
back
in the
and
safe.
put it secure.
So, okay, so there's no like counting, literally, they just take it on
It's
place
secure,
somewhere.
Yeah.
yep.
Cause that was the other piece, was whatever we do for offering too, we don't wanna make it,
Hard
or
for
something
them.
gets missed, or now they don't know when and where to collect it and stuff. Suddenly
Oh.
something gets
Yeah.
left in a
Just make
basket
sure
sitting
it's
somewhere,
on.
cause they weren't aware that, oh, we're
Great
doing it
point.
different now.
Mhm.
Great
So we
point.
just have to make sure that we
We
think
just
of the
communicate
full
with them, make sure
process.
he knows.
Mhm.
We could do that after service instead of after.
Yeah, we'll have to
offering.
figure that out with them.
Yeah.
Cause yeah,
That's
they
more
should be a
behind the
part of that
scenes.
conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, Glenn's somewhere else.
Well,
They're
some
gonna
people
help
were
later.
helping this afternoon, so they didn't come this morning,
Mhm.
so.
Okay, what else?
That's all I have for
Okay.
communion and offering.
No, I think it's a good conversation to be having.
Okay, review Sunday, we need to review Sunday.
Yeah, just, what do we think?
It was a good
Um,
Sunday.
Let's keep track of time too.
Before we do that, could we just real quick go through Red Booth, and that way we can
Oh.
end on reviewing Sunday?
We can.
I don't
Okay.
think Red Booth should take too long. My only
Shouldn't.
thing was, I just wanted to, I don't know, well, when I looked, it looked like not everybody is on Red Booth, and I know for me, when I got in there, I kinda know how to use it, but as I started trying to look through to find where to put our sanctuary team meeting info, it took me a while to kind of look at it and understand the layout of the workspaces and stuff.
Yeah, so I can explain it.
So I thought, yeah, if we could kind of walk through the workspaces, but then also see in this room who's not on Red Booth and who needs to be, and get emails so that everybody can be there so they
Oh,
can get the
yeah.
information.
Yeah,
I have one quick question about that.
Really, Mom?
Aren't,
you're gonna
No,
interrupt
no.
that?
no, are we, I thought we were gonna be moving to using,
CCB?
yeah, church community building for
We're
that,
having that conversation.
but we're not there
CCB's
yet,
even,
so.
if you don't like Red Booth, you probably won't like CCB,
Right.
cause it's even more detailed.
Mhm.
So the thought that
Yeah,
we're
just
having
asking.
is some people would be on CCB that are, closer to, regular volunteer, staff, administrative people. And then other people would be on a lighter platform that's easier to use. But we haven't decided all
I
that.
kinda thought they were both different in the fact that
They are.
I didn't know if the CCB thing allowed you to go in and do all the stuff that we like to do on Red Booth. I didn't
It
know.
doesn't, so,
Yeah,
so
and I
yeah,
think that was the reason why we're kinda keeping them
it is,
to go in parallel with them.
no, that's right, yeah, so there's just, we gotta work it out so that it's
Yeah.
gonna work for most people. And it's not an easy thing to do. But anyway, let me just describe it real quick. So there's four, what would I start with? The workspaces. So there's 4 different workspaces. And so the workspaces are actually teams in the church. So the executive board has one. We have one called strategic plan. Is that hard to see? Is that too hard to see? Not too bad? I'll make it a little bigger.
I can't see anything.
So you got the executive board one. So if you break into any of the workspaces, you will see the topics of tasks and the tasks themselves based on the teams and what they have to get accomplished. So those workspaces guide what's actually contained in it. So you got an executive board, a facility team, only because we have some maintenance things we have to take care of, and there's a long list of things we got to do. There's a pastoral leadership team, which is really going to be the elders and the people that really need to guide us from a spiritual standpoint. So you'll see some tasks there. And the one we care about is the strategic plan, because that's where the open, embraced, linked stuff is. And I can look at it both ways, so let me switch it a little bit. Notice I went on the right, and that's just a viewpoint. I can see it in an up and down version, I can see it in an across version, or I can look at the actual Gantt chart. So let me go to this one, because usually it's a little easier to see. It's just a little slow because of where we are in the building.
Too much concrete.
No, it's just we got, of course it's not going there. There it is. So if I actually open it this way, it's easier to see. But you'll see that we break it out into open, embraced, and linked for the obvious reason of that's where most of the teams and the activities are. Okay? So the church calendar proposes just an area where if we have an event that we're thinking about and we haven't put it on the calendar yet, that's where they live. And so I can look at those in the EMI, listening for heaven's sake, the Father's Day celebration. Those are just ideas, and you'll see them categorized as suggestions. So what happens is any task, you get a task title, you get a priority level, and then over here these bubbles actually tell you who is associated with the task. And oftentimes it's the people that we think are going to be running it. Okay? So the proposed calendar is sitting there, open arms. This is all the stuff that we came out of the strategic meeting with. So if you go down the task list, you'll see prepare kids for baptism. That was just a task we had to get done. Church onboarding process. I'm working on that just to make sure that as people come in new that we have some track that we take them on. One of the initiatives is Sozo Facility and Grounds Improvements. We know what that is. That's the team associated with helping us make it look better around here. So if I go into that initiative then has people associated with it. So Logan, John, Mike. We will typically put a set date for it, and any particulars about what's on the list of things to do will be there as well. Okay? So let me go back out. Go back to the tasks. So all the major things that we have coming up are listed there. Here's the Easter service. This is where, we just put some notes, and it's good. If we have a specific activity like that, the big initiatives or the tasks, you can actually put your information there so people can come in and say, okay, so what's new, what's going on? It will notice the comments for each one of the tasks. This is actually where you keep up with, so what was the last thing we did, who said it, Logan decided to say hi, which is cool. And also, if you look in the upper right-hand corner, not everybody gets associated with every task. And so you won't always hear updates on everything, but if you're checked in this box, I can notify you of what's going on in any one of those tasks. That is really up to the team leader more than anybody else. So here's the sanctuary experience. Again, it gives you an idea. So here's, this is a critical one. These are the people associated with it. Here's the people that are getting notified about it, right? And then underneath it, you can actually put comments and activities.
It's still looking at grounds.
What's that?
When you clicked on Sanctuary Experience, the one on the left there, or right there, still looking at the grounds.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, you're right. No, it's part of the internet issue we got back here, but it actually works pretty good when it's in front of you, either on your app or when you go to it yourself. Okay. So what else? Let me go back to here. The other ones are honing the vision. That's my task. Build an open calendar of events. That was something we said we were going to do out of the strategy session. So you want to make sure that we just be able to follow up with things, and the goal is to just have dates associated with them and people associated with them so you get them done. That's it. And actually, if we put all the people in the system, they'll actually know that they have a task and it's due at a certain point, or there's updates associated with it. So that's what it tries to get people to do. Does that make sense? So that's the overall. There are also conversations within each one of the workspaces. So notice it's saying I'm in strategic plan workspace. There are tasks, conversations, notes, or files. I can put notes and files wherever I want, but it's usually more effective to put them against a task because that's what we're working on, and that's usually where you're going to look. If there are notes and files that you want to keep long term, just so everybody has access to them, you can put them in either of those two places. But the conversations then, I've used it as when we come to our meetings on Saturday and somebody says, hey, but what about we modify how we do communion? There's two reasons why I do it. Number one, I can tell everybody we had that conversation. And so I can do all, and they can get frustrated with me, but at the very least they'll get a notice that says, hey, guess what? They talked about modifying how we do communion and offering. And then they can come in and they can say, so what were they saying? And then people can follow up. I've had Nell come back to me on some of those things and say, hey, I see you were talking about the sound booth, what were you saying? And so we can actually tell people you're having those conversations. I also put Power to Redeem Easter package just because we started to fill in some details on it. I can always go back and edit it, so that's why I don't take time up front to like spell check it. I'll figure that out.
Yeah, Nancy and Landon.
And Tara.
Steve, I think.
Sir.
God,
You're being serious about it, so I'll listen to you.
so rude.
Go.
Being that we're live streaming these videos now too,
Yes.
so when those types of things come up, you know, hey, looked like you were talking about, what were you saying? If there's somewhere that we can put the link to the live video in
Oh,
here,
yeah.
and then that way they can just go.
They can
I mean,
just
we
go
wouldn't be
more.
able to. They'd almost have to fast forward through the thing until they get to that part of the conversation, but then they could hear it firsthand of what was being talked about.
Actually, that'd be great,
Yeah.
dude.
So,
Absolutely. So no, that's just a matter of throwing the link in there, right?
yeah, so we'll have to
I like
figure
it.
out, because the link will pop up after our meeting when I hit stop right here, then it'll
And then
show
it
the
can
video,
go.
and then, so.
I love
yeah,
that
I'm
idea.
trying to- I just don't know where would be the best place to put the link, do you think,
And
in the midst of all of this?
I think it's in the conversations myself, but only because that's where topics are coming up. So the strategic planning session that we had, this is some of the output from it. So when people want to say, so where those flip charts we did, and you know, and sometimes I'll put
Yeah, I
pictures
always
of it
say
in
that.
there.
Where are
But
those
the
flip charts
goal-
we did?
Could you guys?
Sorry.
Thanks.
You need to take a 10-minute break.
Seriously, or just kick them out. I've done that before.
I think
So,
So
It's getting
and
hangry.
the other thing,
So
I can
good.
stop now if you want me to.
What?
I can stop.
Okay.
Okay, so you can go.
Okay.
So anyway,
Get some
let's go
breakfast.
back to the strategic planning session. That's also where we had the leadership values, which we still have to do some more work on. We actually took it and I just put the Gantt chart picture in there so people could see how we laid it out. So yes, there is a lot of information that's already there that if people have questions, we can go back to it. This is the scoring on the leadership values in terms of why the ones that rose to the top rose to the top. So yeah, I mean, the conversations can contain some interesting stuff.
Yeah, I have to put all the meetings from the children's thing when we talked. Our
Yeah.
meetings. I
Yeah,
still
put
have to
those notes out
those
there.
things in there,
That's a good idea.
and where we are.
Yeah.
Dan and I talked about that, but I just saw I think the task is something about the children's thing, and I'm guessing that's
There is
where I
one.
would put it.
Yes, it's probably better to take the Sozo Kids thing and put the comments in there, because that is an initiative that we have in place.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, and don't be hung up on it, just put it somewhere. I think it's just, if everybody
Yeah,
becomes consistent about putting it in there,
Yeah.
then it's always available and people can say, okay, I heard the conversation, I know what the tasks are, and if I need to have some information, I can go look.
Yeah.
That's the intent.
Well, and that's kind of what I thought. I'm like, if I put it in the wrong spot, they could always
We'll move it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not stuck.
Mhm.
So,
Okay, yeah.
and then the other
Do that.
thing is, the only other thing we wanna keep track of is, you know, when we commit to saying we're gonna have something done,
Yeah,
we actually either work on it or have an output to it,
right.
okay? So that's it. Does that answer your question, John?
Yeah, the only other thing was, like I mentioned, when I went into the tasks for the Sanctuary Look and Feel initiative,
Mm-hmm.
and I put, you know, the picture of the board, and I put the
Mhm.
spreadsheet that I put all that on there, but then when I went to do the
Yeah.
drop down to add the people,
Not everybody's
Landon,
there.
Dustin,
Caleb.
Caleb, I think
Is he
Caleb's
on
in there.
Caleb's in there.
No.
There was a bunch of people that aren't in the system, so I couldn't add them, so that was the other thing I was wondering if we could do,
Yes.
is send out invite, cause I even looked to see if I had the ability to send invites, and I don't have permission to.
No, you don't.
So that was part of why I thought maybe if we could just do it this morning.
You can. Give me, like, add a member. All you gotta, this is how easy it is to do. Now, this is for the strategic plan. And there's two types of membership. One where you can alter things and the other one where you just get notifications. So Dan, he's half shaded because he can't change a lot of stuff, but he can hear and see everything. And that's why this is a little different. Now, the ones like Nancy and Mike, we pay for those. So that's why we try to minimize the number of people that are just, you know, getting information versus the ones that actually can get in there and move it. As people get engaged in it, like I would swap Gail and I can make her external. Because she's not changing stuff. So I can make team leaders the ones that we pay for and other people just, you know, outside members.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But we can add people. It's as simple as putting their email address in there.
So Landon,
It's up to you.
Yeah, I just tried to sign in with Google and it said error code, blah blah blah, and kicked me out. So I'm making my account right now.
Which one? In Red Booth?
Yeah.
Did you ever get a request to join?
Not that I can recall. If it was, it might have been a while ago.
Okay, so you shouldn't have to do that. What I can do is just pull you in.
so when you put
See
his
what I'm
email in
saying?
there, you send him an invite, he'll get an email with
Correct.
that invite, he'll click the link, and then that will
And then I'll
walk
drag
him
him
through
into this
creating
one.
his profile, and
Okay.
then,
Yes.
Um,
And you'll be
It-
associated with our stuff, not just Red Booth.
Landon
I,
Avery at
I signed up
gmail.com.
with Red Booth, but it didn't connect me to the church one. So it didn't really do anything for me to have a login on Red Booth until I got connected.
Yes, absolutely right. Landon Acree at,
gmail.com. Super easy.
and I can put multiple people separate by comma. Yeah. Who else? Who are you?
Nickwood19 at hotmail.com.
Nope,
No, it's not actually.
Nick Wooten something.
at hotmail.com.
At least you're not using AOL. Micaiah's still using AOL, and I laugh
Who
every
is?
time.
Micaiah.
Micaiah.
Really?
Mickey, Vicky, Danny, Peel. Yeah. Mickey, Vicky, Danny.
Is that
Nick
what she-
Wooten at.
Hotmail.
You're using Hotmail?
Mm-hmm.
Dude.
It was before Outlook was huge, and so I just
Hey, you just stayed with it.
yeah.
That's cool. All right, who else?
Lesmar M at iCloud.
Okay. Spell check me. Is that right?
Mhm.
That's Marianne. Who else?
Sam Cole, COLE. SJC.
SJC.
So it's Sam Cole SJC.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. At gmail.com. Okay.
Sure you want to be involved in this thing, huh?
Yeah.
You may want to hold off, have a conversation. It's like, oh my God, he's sending me all these emails, right? Well, who else?
Also, did you guys get my email yesterday?
I did.
Oh, I didn't.
I know there's,
It was like,
Dustin?
but I don't-
You don't know which one emails to use?
I wanna check
I was
with him,
worried
make
that
sure.
it wasn't.
Okay, yeah.
being typed in.
Yeah, and so
No,
for,
it's
for information, that's why I didn't like drag everybody in, because it's like, okay, the people that really want to know and interact are the ones that I pull in.
Nell is already on there, is that right?
He should be. I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was.
Yep.
oh,
Yeah, it's just
he
blocked.
said it went to spam.
Yeah, I can't move that.
Sam, don't
Let me
tell
just
me
invite
that.
those for now.
Double check, cause
Move it.
Send
You
invitations.
mentioned one that I couldn't find.
Oh,
It's too
come
late.
on.
Satanist.
They're trying to put them in as full access.
Yeah. So I mean, I could do that again.
You guys get some food.
Yeah, while they're doing this.
Yeah, it's cool. So I'll get all the
So is
email
that,
addresses.
that list of people that you showed right there, was that everybody that's part of it? That's a full list of members, or were there other
Oh,
members
that-
outside of that list?
There are some other ones. That's why I was gonna go to the head of the system to look at who's on the whole thing, because then I can associate them with different groups. So that's what you're seeing. Here's my organization. Eat something.
Dan, what time are you guys planning on
Here's the
being
bigger
here?
list.
Any idea?
She's covering it now.
Sheila said something about one, is that, have you communicated with her
Yep.
requesting that, or?
No, that should
I
be
may
fine.
just have to.
I'm considering telling Glenn and Anna not to come if your boys could help us set up, well, Logan and Landon said they could help too. We just need to bring some tables and chairs into the sanctuary, and not sanctuary, into the activity center, and you said that your boys could help with that too. I'm just thinking since, Glenn and Anna live so far away, if we already have help, I don't know that it makes sense to have them come all the way over here.
I think
It
Dane's
doesn't-
gonna
Make the
help.
more help, the better.
Who?
Dane
Oh, is she?
and,
Gail said she would be here.
The more help, the better.
We don't need that many tables, we only need like
But after,
4 or 6 tables, yeah. Well, maybe I'll ask them to come after.
just leave it up to them.
Oh, they changed something here. You used to be able to add people and then decide who they were.
Well,
To
it's
work
just the
on that.
thing is that people that need to stay and help, would have to be here the entire time until everybody's finished eating. I mean, it could be hours. So I'm just trying to cut down on some of that.
well, I can close out. if
Well, I
that's-
don't want you to have to, it'll
Well,
be a group effort.
Sheila and I are definitely here.
Yeah, okay. Okay. And then I need to talk to somebody about the
Yeah, I'm gonna do it
lights.
now, 'cause I'm trying to figure something out.
I got me one right here too.
That's what it is.
That's not any of us.
What?
Well, we need to have some lights in there, so I don't
Yeah,
know
so
what to do.
our formal meeting's over, just for clarity?
Well, wait, somebody was talking about going over Sunday.
Well, we
Yeah, but
wasted
we never
time
did.
trying to.
So, I mean, we can, I just wanna be clear about whether we're still moving forward or not. Are we still in this meeting, or is it different? I'm just not clear.
I thought it was still the same. I don't know what you're
Okay,
asking.
no, I'm good, cause it sounded like we were moving into the what's gonna happen this afternoon.
I was
That's the
just
only
trying to
reason I
take
asked.
advantage of downtime while you're sitting there doing
Well,
administrative.
no, I can
stuff.
do this later.
We're not really
You
doing
should.
anything.
I'm just, cause we're sitting here.
All right, so I have a couple questions then at the end
Okay, so
before everybody leaves.
we were reviewing Sunday. Is that it on the review of Sunday?
We didn't
We
do
didn't
that.
review
We didn't
Sunday.
get there.
Okay,
We
well
said
then
it
let's
was-
start. Who's gonna start?
So just wanna go through the basic flow, there's nothing out of the ordinary tomorrow, right? Just a normal
Nah.
Sunday, so we have countdown, the welcome video, praise and worship, you close praise and worship, meet and greet, announcements, offering, message, right?
Yep.
What are the announcements that we have for tomorrow?
Embrace night this week. Bible study, Sunday mornings. T-shirts if we want to. That's about it.
Okay, nobody else has any other stuff that they're thinking of that we need to?
I feel like during
No.
announcements, I know it's hard now, Because I don't know if we're seeing new people, but I feel like it's important when we see a new person or just get in the habit of every time doing announcements. And do we consistently do announcements?
Yeah.
No?
Mm-hmm.
To invite them to grab a connected card and just verbally
Mm-hmm.
give that information out to,
Okay.
you know?
That's a
Mm-hmm.
good idea.
So like reiterate what like is it Nick's video that says it?
His video says it, but then we also have a slide so that we can actually bring a Connect card up and
Okay.
verbally
Yeah.
do
So
an
we can
announcement
verbally,
as
okay.
well. So, okay.
Sweet.
So Connect card. I'll use the YouTube instructional promo video as our offering video. So when people are bringing offering up, I'll just play that video again. Then we'll come up with something for after praise and worship. See if either Jolie or Caleb can do offering and announcements tomorrow.
I can do announcements if someone else does offering. No.
We're gonna have to teach him to do offering.
I have to like know stuff.
You have to what?
I have to like know stuff.
Like what?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. Get that.
Well,
Do you wanna do offering with me?
so,
Oh, God, I love it, man.
so
Offering? You and I?
you two,
So let me know if you get
Yeah.
an invite.
Logan and John.
Nick and Logan can do
No,
it.
I gotta run representer.
I think
See?
you wanna come do offering with me.
No, I don't. I don't want to go up there just to do offerings.
I could be looking at this. Just to do offering.
How about this? We'll talk about it more in detail later, and we'll just have Caleb do it tomorrow. How about that?
No.
What, is Caleb around?
Where
Is
is
he
Caleb?
still in town, or is he going to be there tomorrow?
Who, Caleb?
I thought that I heard something about him going out of town or something. Didn't he?
Oh,
Is it gone?
No, I know that.
Uh-oh.
I think he said he has a funeral that he has to go to.
Oh, really?
So he won't be around today.
Got it.
Since when?
It's
So, okay,
It's
so,
Oh, so that happened like.
That happened last week, I thought, but
yeah. So are you doing announcements tomorrow then?
Yeah.
he is.
All right. We'll just figure out what's happening with the offering piece.
So you're gonna have a suit and tie on when you go up there?
Heck yeah, I'm gonna talk about.
Are you
He
gonna
has to
sing?
buy it first.
You should sing announcements.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna sing.
Oh,
You should
I'm
get up
sorry.
there and sing.
Ooh, we could do,
Oh,
we could do Hey
I'll
Girl.
I'll step down. I'll
Do
step
it.
down for
He's
doing
gonna do Hey
announcements.
Girl.
I'll step off and doing announcements, and my mom will go, "Why did you sing?" Like, 'cause-
No, we're gonna give him a lyric, and he'll be fine.
It makes you
There he is. He is
feel
now a participant.
awesome when you sing.
Makes me feel so
Lesmar
awesome.
should've
You know
gotten
what else
one,
makes me
too.
feel awesome, Mom?
If you want to sing the announcements, I'll play guitar.
Stop it.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you hear that, John?
Nick Wooten at Hot
Bad
Mess.
night.
You know what else
I
makes me feel
don't
awesome?
need jokes right now.
What's your last name?
Huh?
What's your last name?
Strategic plan? That was easy.
Cool, I'm in.
I actually got an email from Hotmail here. For
He's
sure.
making fun of you.
I'm just saying that. It's not AOL, so you're good.
I don't know who has Hotmail.
Very
I think
few
that's-
people.
A
I
lot
think
of
that's all
people-
that I was wanting to go through for
Alright.
tomorrow. I think praise and worship team, you guys' songs are on the band app, so I can get what you guys are doing.
I need to update those for you, but
Alright, you could update this for me.
Oh, also.
That's why it's good
This
he's
is
your
on-
son.
this is on,
Yeah.
If it'd be
It's
anybody
in the
else, it'd be
family.
like, oh.
Nick's up there. Should see an email.
That's for Mike.
It was easy.
Yeah.
See how easy that
You
is.
don't wanna show his video? or
No,
whatever?
we'll show the video.
And then
That's what I'm
just
saying.
have it
We're
go
gonna
to
talk about it. Yeah. Jeez.
So we'll show his video and then that'll be the first announcement.
Yeah.
So I have his video.
Yeah,
regularly.
John. That's exactly what. Dude, calm down.
So just
You're
select
scaring me.
strategic plan and
My
you'll be.
heart is like, I'm freaking out.
So,
You need to
do
chill.
we have to join as a participant and then you're able to downgrade?
I may, just depending on how interactive you are with it, if you don't need to change stuff, then I'll make you a not paid.
Everyone will know your secret.
You'll have access and notifications, but you
I
won't.
probably won't.
No, I know.
Maybe better do it. Maybe it costs something.
Mm-hmm. So Who is it? I got Nick, I got Les
I'm
Mar.
glad we spent. Never mind. I'm gonna be a
Quit
good person.
crying.
I'm gonna be a good person.
No.
I'm gonna be a
Yeah, I mean, you
I'm
know,
gonna be a child of
you
God.
want me to vent? You want me to vent here? I can vent. I can, adults can vent too. It's like, I don't know how many times we've been like, they're like bouncing off the ceiling and we're trying to get work done and it's like, oh, it's okay.
Dude, we're
So now I'm gonna bounce off
we're
the ceiling.
all business.
Hey, girl.
We're all business.
Hey,
Nobody
girl.
thinks that's funny.
They're all laughing.
Nor does it make sense.
Did we ever get any pictures of the couple?
Did you see that?
I didn't think so.
Yes, we did.
Where? Show me
Look on
one.
Facebook.
Whoa,
Obviously,
show me.
you're blind.
Prove it.
And
Prove it. And we gotta get everybody on the Facebook page and the Instagram, all that stuff, man. I'm excited about it.
what are you talking about?
Everybody, we gotta make sure everybody in the church gets,
follows?
gets to those, yeah. It's cool stuff. I love watching the Instagram come up and see what, you know, pictures of what happened last week, and that's really cool. I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
Big Instagram.
Well,
like you.
it would be nice.
Like you.
It would be nice if
Are you about to
whoever's
complain?
taking the
You're
pictures
about
would
to
actually
complain?
get
Are you about
more of
to
a
complain?
Alright,
diverse
so let me-
group of people in the pictures instead
let me
of
get yours
constantly
again.
having Landon
Sorry.
in every photo.
So it's
Alright.
Sam,
And Nick in every photo.
Nick's not in any of them.
SJC.
And the same
Sam
people.
J.
in
Cole,
every
Cole,
photo.
J4.
Are you
Joseph.
cool, Dustin?
Joseph.
A lot of people.
At gmail.com. But
I capture moments. I don't
My
capture
data's not
people.
very good in
If
here.
certain people
Really?
have
Okay.
moments with
Not-
other people,
I just
then
got it,
that's
yeah.
not on me.
Alright, don't worry about it.
Are you on the guest
That's
Wi-Fi?
Gmail.
But it's
No, I don't have Wi-Fi.
Oh, you're
LESMAR.
not on Wi-Fi?
Oh, sorry, thank you. Somebody didn't know that.
Also, it's not my fault that every time I try to take
Thank
pictures.
Do you want it?
Danster.
If you wanna connect, or
Maybe.
okay. Cause I can give
Came
you,
with Ninja, dude.
Dude,
instead of using
I
the
can't
guest
when
Wi-Fi, but
they're
then I
facing
can give you
the
the
doorway.
password.
You guys arguing?
I stand
when
in the
you see
doorway
how
and
it
they all
comes
turn
up.
around.
Alright, so are we done with the agenda so far? Or is there more?
I have a calendar. I
Okay, go
have,
for it.
More Saturday
someone
nights.
who supports us, who's used our building before and has done some things here, wants to have a wedding. It's basically rescheduled from, they were gonna do it in 2018, and we
Wow.
tentatively approved it, but then they had to postpone it.
No way.
So they called me, it's Cecilia Jackson.
Yeah.
Son,
That's weird.
But they supported us.
No, go
that
ahead.
is who he is, who they are. Saturday the 31st, it is a Saturday, but it's just from 12 to 5, it's not,
12 to 5,
yeah, it's not at night, well, that's like getting ready and everything,
but 5.
yeah, 5 o'clock, it's not at night, so, no
But
reception
it's
or
also a
anything, it's
wedding.
just the wedding, it's not anything else other than that, so we just need to think about it, and,
When?
Saturday, August 31st,
Oh, August.
Oh, it's August.
yeah,
Okay.
so,
And so,
we can talk more about it next week, I just wanted to get it out there.
Is that Labor Day weekend? Looks like it might.
Oh, I don't know.
yeah, it's
My calendar doesn't go out.
August 31st.
I don't think
It's a
so. It's probably the
Saturday.
following week.
What time is it in the day?
I think the actual wedding is like at 3.
Yeah,
But-
it's like every weekend.
But they
Okay.
say 12 to 5 because the girls will be
You
getting
don't get
ready
it.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Neither do you, because Nell or Glenn didn't have them come up and stand
I
there.
get that.
Just like we asked
So
those
that was,
guys.
that's what I said do it before or after, but anyway.
He did, but he didn't do it.
No,
That's
no,
what I'm
I
saying.
meant before or after.
Shoot,
Coming in there,
calendar doesn't
like
even
outside.
say.
Right again.
How can you have a calendar that doesn't tell you when
always.
Labor Day is?
Yeah, right,
Always
count on it.
wrong.
I'm sure it's on
It
that.
might be
I'm sure
Labor
it's
Day.
on that.
That sounds like it's Labor Day weekend.
It does.
Be good, guys.
I thought it was the
Yeah.
first, I thought it was the first thing in September.
Okay.
It is August,
Oh,
September.
we
It's
do
the
it.
second.
Well,
Crazy.
Sunday,
Yeah.
Sunday's the
Labor Day is
first.
September
So
2nd.
Because the next
Sunday's the
one,
second.
So
the
it's
next
actually
Monday is
that
the
next weekend? No, it's that same weekend.
First.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah, they want
Maybe
to
that
do
was-
Did you guys get
they want
breakfast?
to come out.
Yeah, okay, good.
Do not see plates.
They want to come out.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye, thanks for coming.
Is that what my dad is? that look like Landon? Does that look like Landon or Nick? Does that look like Landon or